This would be fun. Okay, guys, we're going live. Adventure Club, because life is an adventure, and it gets wild. Alright, guys.
Hello, hello.
Nice. Echo. Awesome.
Ooh, it's very whistly.
Well,
Eyes wide open.
Too bad. Oh, hello, Don. You made it. And Josh. Is the Busters of Thine Globe still chilling, or what? I wanted to be nice and kind of wait till they were over, you know.
I'm not sure, but it's 9:42.
No.
Think it's a pretty good time to go on?
9:39.
Oh.
Actually, my cell phone clock has been off by a couple of minutes lately.
My computer and cell phone say 9:42, so.
Well, my cell phone's off because I joined something on my cell phone that's on a server, and I was like a few minutes late, and the server clock was like several minutes ahead of my cell phone. I thought cell phones were hooked to satellites and they had like, you know, satellite time or whatever. No?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They autocorrect or whatever. But
it's all good. Time is irrelevant.
Yeah, I was chatting with this dude Corey in the Globebusters chat. He's like, we're talking about, you know, astral projection and stuff, and I guess he's having like sleep paralysis and like seeing demons. He like recently quit a bunch of stuff, like, you know, smoking and sinning in general, I guess you could say.
Oh wow!
And since he did that, he's been seeing more and more, and I kind of see that as right. It's like the more truth, you know, you seek, the more these entities are just, you know, the evil side of things will present itself and like fuck over your website, for instance, you know, with yes, it's a decision, but it's like it was influenced. Hello, Cynthia, the silly puppy.
Cynthia.
I never hear your dog bark. Oh, there it is.
That was cute.
Yeah, but then it seemed like that the more you kind of edge towards truth, and, you know, instead of just sitting there doing nothing or doing the day to day, like if you do just the day to day, you really don't get fucked with much. But the more you try to push towards finding the truth, it's like you got real people attacking you and this like dark side or entity, let's just call it demons. I'll be right back after these messages. Hold on one second.
I am having all kinds of trouble with the internet.
Are you really?
Yeah.
The demon situation. Go ahead.
Lovely.
No, go ahead. It's like I just wondering how long Ace was gonna just like switch off. I'm like, did he switch us all off, or are we on?
Oh, we're live?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, the demon situation. I think the basic principle, at least in some philosophies, and mostly like Eastern, I guess, philosophy, like Buddhism and similar situations. So, like, they are there to teach us a lesson, and the best way, just supposedly, it's all esoteric. We can see it, everybody sees it, and has different understanding of it, perceives it differently, so it's hard to talk. But in general terms, that like the best way to attract our attention, to make sure we're really paying attention, is fear and strong feelings like that.
Right.
So to attract our attention, they use fear, and their main purpose actually is not to do like bad things, which comes as a consequence, side effect, I guess, of the whatever the karmic interaction, of call it whatever it is, like the deeds you do, you know, like the things around you. And you know, as soon as you realize what lesson you are to, you know, what lesson you are to learn, they're kind of leave. And the other thing is like to treat that phenomena as called demon, because it can manifest not like as some scary dark creature, but in your interaction with somebody, because for you somebody else could represent whatever, or something, you know, so some images, it's a different thing, but also always this negative force that you're dealing with. And like the main thing is not to hate it, not to like all the negative stuff. You gotta treat it not like it, and you know, like bow down to demons, but treat
Right,
it
but don't
with,
give it any more energy. You know.
yeah, but we need to treat it with, I think so, it is some philosophers at least saying that treat it with respect and as an equal, and have that kind of, you know, get it to understand that you know, treat it as equal,
Hey
not
guys,
something.
my brother and his girlfriend just got in. I have to help him with something for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, basically this kind of attitude towards it, because you don't realize it right away what you're dealing with, but in retrospect you often understand that this was that kind of influence. So you know, if you try to see what kind of lesson, you know, is being presented here, what should I, you know, learn from this situation, I think it's one way to approach it, at least.
I find it interesting that these things always come up when people are trying to better themselves
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
of
remove
course.
their life, you know, like toxic people or toxic food or, you know, toxic anything, just habits. And it's like they want to hold you back from, because they know if you wake up or get clean or, you know, whatever you want to call it, things come like enlightenment, you know, and revelations, and yeah, they don't want you to be able to see past your vices, I guess. That's what it seems like anyway. It manifests like around, you know, people who are getting close to finding something out.
Well, I think it's just a general principle. So when you're dealing with, let's say God, if you can use this word or whatever, God is like a blinding light. You know, it's like so bright that you can see anything but the bright light. You know, you can look anywhere else and determine what is there. You know, when you're looking right at it, you don't understand the sense of overwhelmed. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's like a trap, basically. This truth or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't know how people usually. That's why I don't like how the truthers or whatever they try to portray it as some sort of ascension, as like a Buddha type of situation, to awakening and all that. Like we gotta reach something, we gotta help others reach something. Like no, just you know, I don't. I look a little different. I think there is no time actually. That's I always feels like it.
Right. I guess no, I didn't know that that's how they portrayed it, the truthers or whatever.
It often comes up this. It looks this way at least to me. Not that it's intentional, but it always turns into this new age type of thing that some people, the chosen one, are getting elevated above others and all. And we need to concentrate to like await, because like in Buddhism they have a lot of this, that you gotta reach the nirvana, whatever, the state of Buddha, because Buddha, it took him what, I think 6 days to reach this state. And different versions of Buddhism, they say like, oh, you gotta get there through karmic through reincarnation, because like through a bunch of generations, because you just can't achieve this kind of state. So they look at, you gotta perfect yourself, but prepare yourself for the next life, so you're gonna even better perfect yourself. Some Buddhism actually says you can like very heavily whatever meditate and do good and achieve the state like within your lifetime. So they have different approaches to how we live. But I think the whole striving to get somewhere, I don't know, like I think it's also like a false race that you get yourself into.
Mm-hmm. And Ace says in the comment section that fear is the one thing we can't fully conquer.
Yeah, I actually, my favorite thing about the whole fear and like this, you can very often see it when you review some Eastern philosophy. They very often talk about that, and how you remember the, what is it called, Oz, the fairy tale for little kids about the little girl, silver shoes, and the Oz, what is it called?
The Wizard of
The
Oz?
Wizard of Oz, exactly. And this is what it's about. Because if you look at the little girl and her friends that she met, it's portrayed as one, it's a one person actually, just different characteristics of it. So she, one line needed a heart to love, so she was looking like for love and fearlessness, or some be brave, yeah, whatever line. I didn't want it to be brave, the iron guy, and the stupid one, to be smart for the brains, and that's all. Like she was looking for to come out of that. And the yellow brick road is the golden rule. They also portrayed the yellow brick road is, if you walk off of it, you step into the poppy field or whatever. You're not in a true world. This is what is it called? Well, it's not a. It's distorted. That's what I was looking for. As you step off the golden rule, do to others as golden road, you enter the distorted world. And what she was, the biggest fear, they all had their biggest fear, and there was that wizard who actually was just, shows how show. And another, the witch, she has to spill the water, like to clear, with clear water she dispels all the distortion, and she gets to the truth, and that way she's able to get out of that world that she needed to get out of from. So I think it just shows that the whole Buddhist philosophy gives it into to little kids, so they receive this message and carry it for the rest of their lives. There's many details in this whole thing that so it's 100% the Buddhist, one of the philosophers that I was hearing they're explaining.
I had heard that the whole Wizard of Oz thing stemmed from like the whole ritual torture that they did for like MK Ultra and stuff, and it was kind of like these
No, no,
demented.
that was the other one about the cards and the little girl, a rabbit, about rabbits. What was it called?
Oh, the Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. No, not this one. Or is it an
I think
old one?
no, I think they're both because like the whole like Yellow Brick Road. I don't know, like it's used a lot. I guess like Alice in Wonderland imagery, but also The Wizard of Oz. But I'd have to
No,
look into that more.
I
Every time I
think
watch it,
Wizard of Oz teaches you that, like, at the end, when you beat the fear, the evil, and the fear itself is fake. Actually, it's just what you perceive, show for you. And when you beat that fear, the evil, you receive love, you receive, knowledge, you receive. Fearlessness, and this is how you actually beat it, by getting those qualities within yourself, for sticking to them instead of anything else. And the golden rule, because I don't think I think it's a very good, actually. They had in Russia a whole bunch of fairy tales that you look at it as a fairy tale, but you look deep into what are they teaching, and comparing it to Eastern, like they have a bunch of texts for like whatever, like from past, and this is a very common theme. And I discovered that a lot of things we teach to our kids are actually very, very good old, stories, that the philosophy of life, actually, how to be like a good person. But I guess they don't do it anymore with Disney and all. It's a perversion.
oh yeah,
That's what, the
like
new
the
stuff.
fables. Are you talking about like the old fables, like from Europe?
Yeah, and some of them,
Hansel and
actually,
Gretel. Yeah.
yeah, they have like a different layer. Besides it being a good story for kids, they have a deep philosophical layer that, like kids, that's the best age, to get them on the right track, and they really learn very fast. And whatever they hear at childhood, you're gonna remember it for the rest of your life. It lays, in a special place. I don't know, for memories, because actually your childhood memories are imprinted very powerful, very strong. So they're always there, and I guess your subconsciousness is much of it is based on that. You don't have to like consciously realize, well, but strong childhood memories, they stay very strongly inside people. So that's a very good time to feed them with good stuff.
I guess that's true because I still remember a lot of those fairy tales I used to read, like the sour grapes, like the morals, like they had those. I guess Hans
It's
Christian
very
Andersen.
important to have proper morals in the fairy tale, in the stuff for kids, because what they give them now, it's just teaches them to be attention. Also, another thing, like you see how many attention deficit disorder kids are out there, like
Yep, that's
everybody.
me.
It's already everybody. I think it's like too much right now. Any kid they hyperactive, they can hope, because the new shows for them, all the cartoons that I was just checking them out, and I noticed how all the cartoons, they're specifically made in this way, that they always like shake the kids, they always shake their attention, like, and make them excited, and this is not really good entertainment for them, I think.
Right, it's like artificially stimulated. They're not actually hyperactive. It's just
Yeah.
like the input and the energy level of the show, instead of just being kind of calm and like drawing the kid.
Exactly. And that's
Like,
why
just-
the kids become, and how they're gonna go to the store with mother and start screaming and do the, misbehave. They learn all that stuff in the cartoons. It shows to them how to start like screaming and jumping in the moments when you want something. And this whole thing, they teach them the wrong philosophy. And if we look towards the past, what they had for kids back then, it was much better, actually.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. I'm back.
Hey, welcome back, Gabe.
I was listening. Yeah, man, the kids, like, just think back when you were a kid, how, like, emotional, just simple things were. Like, something, even that wasn't scary could be scary And it's just so vivid and visual. You know what I mean? It makes a huge impact because you have nothing to register it against.
This is what you're gonna compare everything else to, because this is your
Yes.
foundations,
And
Elaine. Yeah.
and that leads back to yesterday when I was saying what is causing moms to just hand their kids over to be taught by other people. That's unnatural in nature. And these elite know this, and what they're teaching them ends up them becoming sheep, you know,
Right. You know what? But
robots.
they do it for the economy. I mean, they control it to where you can't even afford to raise a kid anymore. And
Yeah, it's all planned. Look, we don't need much. We could.
even two people, even a proper family with a father and a mother. I mean, they both have to work.
Yeah,
The
and there's so
most
many people
important
not
task
working
for
too.
you in life, the most important thing you can do in life for raise your child, and which is, there's some other person, is gonna, the TV is gonna do it, the state
Oh
is gonna
hell,
educate them. And
that's
this is
so
it. They,
bad.
they take it lightly. They don't pay attention to the most important.
They're distracted, is what it is. They don't even think
Yeah,
about it. They just think like, what am I going to do to make money for the next paycheck? They're not
yeah,
even thinking about who's raising their
absolutely.
kids.
Distractions in
And
their
that's
life. They don't
fear.
even, sit
Fear
down
is
to
what's
think.
causing them to do that in the first
Yeah,
place.
absolutely. Fear, well, basic fear,
I
because what is going to happen
fear
if you're going to stop working and all?
scarcity.
Right.
Scarcity.
Exactly. Scarcity
We
and abundance.
There is no scarcity.
Right.
What are they thinking? We only need 500 million people or whatever for the world, the Georgia Guidestones? No, everyone could comfortably live in the United States alone, but even, they say
In one
Texas.
state,
Yeah,
actually,
That's
Texas, I've heard
they
that.
say the whole world could live in Texas and we'll
And
be fine.
everybody could have a freaking mansion. Everyone could have electricity, running water, all free, like basically free. If they just started building houses, you know what I mean, and building
Mhm.
cars, everyone could have all these
Proper
things.
environment.
But no, they gotta supply and demand it to where just
Artificial
if
shortage of everything
everyone had the right mindset
trying to achieve.
and didn't care about being ahead of other people and shit. I'm not a communist, but I'm just saying, I don't know, I'm a utopianist or something.
Right. No, but this isn't the way we were meant to live.
Hell no.
And people, so it's a little bit of brainwashing their thinking. As far as the economy, class systems, like capitalism or communism. It's not even that. It's like we weren't even supposed to be doing any of this. Like we had it fine before we even invented money. You know, we didn't need it. Like we could just trade eggs for things we needed. Eat raise chickens.
Now, do you think if we go back to, everyone knowing that the world is flat and a lot of other stuff comes with that, but like if everyone's eyes were opened, I think it could change. I think we could get it's only just a few people that are causing all this shit.
Right.
And it
Yeah, we outnumber
stems
them.
it
I.
stems to the devil, but he has no power if we all just overcome that fear and realize that we were born, meant to be kings. We're born not meant to die. No one's gonna go burn in hell. That's all this fear mongering shit that just keeps people in line. If everyone would just be not afraid to die and realize there's a creator, watching over us and providing for us, it would just be, I can't even imagine how amazing it'd be. And the technological advances would be through the roof.
And that's exactly the thing, though. You kind of hit the nail on the head. People don't realize their power, but it's even bigger than that. I mean, we were created to be more powerful than the angels, and that's why there was jealousy among them. And I mean, we are more powerful.
Real quick, Cynthia, yes, forgive Satan, and that is the biggest blow you can make to him, is forgiving him.
Oh, yeah.
Biggest
Absolutely.
silver bullet you can do. But
That's what I'm saying. Don't treat and don't hate back, don't be angry, don't fear, but like to forgive or whatever, like something similar, nothing negative. And this is how you treat those guys, and this is how you beat, like you stay, in a good position.
Exactly. Well, when you know you're more powerful, you don't feel the need to hate them. I don't think. It's like already Satan. Like the demon. I know I'm more powerful than you. What? Just
a good
nothing.
example for you. If you walk down the street and you see like a little dog is trying to bark at you and like jump run away from the owner towards you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna start barking at it back and like screaming at it? You just pass. You don't care. It's just a little dog on a leash. Let it be there. You just pass. You ignore this kind of like negativity from the creature that is like stupid. Why would she do that? There is no reason to behave in this way, so you just ignore that kind of the whole stuff. It's like all the trolls. This is their level. Actually, this is what you're dealing with. Like paying attention to that and going down to their level, trying to fight with them is pretty much same as fighting a dog.
No, it's true. I mean, yeah, you could just pick it up and hug it. It's just tiny and cute. It's like, oh, you barking at me?
Yeah, but that's like a troll level, so yeah, you like see how they are important. But when you're dealing with the real evil, like analysis, it's usually you're not dealing with like a person. It's the thoughts in your head. It's how you analyze the situation. It's how you think about something evil that is happening somewhere. You can pinpoint it, or sometimes it's spread in an organization or whatever group of people or certain. In different ways, it could manifest in different ways. When you approaching with your thoughts, dealing with evil, this is where you like forgive. I guess that's the good word. The Bible forgiveness, yeah, that type of thing. And it's I always think myself, well, like, I imagine the worst person like Hitler or whatever, somebody who just murdered millions of people, or just little kids, just raped, murdered, whatever. But I definitely find in me that I don't want to harm him. I want to prevent, of course, his action to behave like this in the future. Maybe isolate him, or like, of course, not let him kill anymore. But I don't see like the Nuremberg process. They hung them on a string or something, like on hooks and stuff, whatever. Like I don't see a revenge. I don't see a feeling like I want to have revenge against that evil in this way. Something violent and hurting. So yes, something like this attitude like this is, I guess, good. I mean, from my perspective, I like it.
Ace, you still there?
Okay, so what is that? Oh, gotta talk about numerology.
I am, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, so numerology, math, and it goes like, if you look at the old languages, the way they are, and that's a very interesting path, because you deal in, it also goes together with words and old words and the meanings of them. So when you look back, usually the letter would also mean a number. Like A, B, C, D would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just an example, of course, not primitive like this, but especially in Jewish, where it comes from, gematria, they use it in Jewish. All the Kabbalist guys still use it, and it's open. And the Jewish alphabet, it openly like translates to the numbers, and everybody aware of this, because English alphabet, nobody really thinks anymore that A is 1 and B is 2. Exactly. But it is also so. And in older languages, it was very deeply connected. And as you said about frequencies, that every letter, every word or mantras, whatever, it's all frequencies, and they all affect reality. And we can see this by they have these videos when they put powder on a speaker or flat sheet.
Just kind of imagine it as a musical note, like from a piano.
Yeah, it's three-dimensional.
And
You see the pattern that if you play a certain
yeah,
frequency, it shows the graphic pattern on your
exactly.
sheet with sand or whatever. Like powder, you
Yep.
have like a flower type of situation going on, and it's growing like a
It's an
lotus
awesome
flower.
experiment.
Yeah, so all the numbers they are very powerful. There is this invisible level out there where the signs and all that dark magic, that's where it all came from, all the rituals and occult
Yeah.
stuff. So
I love that
definitely,
sound. We're talking about sound, and there's an awesome sound. It's like doo, doo, doo.
Is it
that's
your
that's
is it
It's
your
like
phone notification?
yeah, notification for Hangouts. I'm
yeah,
gonna turn it off.
Oh
screw it.
yeah.
It sounds good. It's all good. But yeah, just I kind of imagine like each word, makes like a certain musical note, and like you read a book. Let's just say the Bible, since I'm sure we'll touch on that later. Each whole Bible as a whole is like a symphony of
Yeah,
musical
but King
notes.
James was amazing. That's why the translation could have a second
Well,
level of
exactly.
negative
Yes,
notes,
that's
specifically
why.
chosen wrong words in
True.
certain places.
Changing one letter. Let
And we don't
me.
even notice it because it's a translation. He could have a whole bunch of words,
Yeah.
to choose from to translate, a
Yeah.
whole bunch of ways to phrase it and to put it. That's why
If
I don't
you.
trust it. There's some mistakes in it, definitely.
Well, yeah.
Distortion.
If you truly want to get into it, you need to go back to the original Sanskrit,
Well, you
and
do.
learn how to
Greek
translate
and
it.
Hebrew, Old
But
Hebrew, and also I
but
think
it
like
doesn't matter because our languages have been confused anyways.
oh yeah,
So
oh yeah,
the message will get through. If you play one off key in a symphony, in an entire symphony, you still get the message. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And so let me just say, like one letter being changed can make a huge difference. Like the parable of when he sent. See, I'm not like I haven't even read the Bible all the way through. I really would want to. I just have a hard time reading anything. Books, like novels, I cannot read. Absolutely, they bore me to death. I can't read them. I cannot see the pictures in my head, and it's boring. Anyways, back to this. The parable when he sent the guy to go get the fish, he had just cleaned his nets. He was done for the day fishing. He didn't catch nothing. Jesus walks up. He's like, go back out there and cast your nets. The guy goes out and he drops his net and he catches so many fish instantly, like the net's starting to break, and then another boat has to come help him. And they get up to the shore, and he says, "Oh my Lord, how could you ever forgive me for my sins?" Well, what was he talking about? You know, why did he choose right then to say, forgive me? And I'll tell you why. In one translation, Jesus says, "Go out and cast your net." So the guy goes out and casts his net. But in the version that's the most accurate in this case, and it happens to be the King James, and there's a couple others, Jesus says, "Go out and cast your nets," as in all of your nets. Okay, in this day and age, in seawater, it takes a long time to clean your net after you're done fishing so it doesn't rot. Well, the guy went out and only dropped one. Why did he only drop one? Because he was doubting, that he was going to catch anything. Well, all of a sudden he starts catching shit. He's like, "Oh my God, he told me to cast my nets." When God provides, he provides big. You know what I mean? So when he got back to the shore, he was like, "I didn't obey you and I didn't believe you." That's why he said, "Forgive me." So in the wrong translation, you don't get that message. You know what I mean? Just because of
Yeah.
the S was missing. It's a plural word. Jesus says, "Drop them all." We're going to get a lot of fish. And he only decided to drop one because he didn't want to have to clean them when he didn't catch any because he didn't believe in them. even though he was already saying, "Oh my Lord, I love you," before he went out there.
He doubted.
And
I
these are
doubt he
great stories. Even if you're not a Christian, like they're just awesome stories because there is, I think everyone here believes there's a creator at least, you know, and that creator does and will provide for us, and we need to trust him, and there's no room for just a little bit of a doubt.
About the Bible, like I just saw, I already mentioned it earlier on Sunday. I saw a very good presentation of the really religious guy studying Bible like for years. He's very good at Bible, and he says the King James version, it has at least like one specific mistranslation. It's not just something shady like this, just changing things around. But here's specific mistranslation, and it's where they called in one verse, they called the Passover, they called it Easter, because this word was never used before
Did
in the
they?
Bible. It's the only place the first time was used in the Bible, and it's in this King James translation. Everywhere else in the Bible, and before they were calling it a Passover. Because and Easter, they call, because he was a Mason. They very often have the Eastern Lodge or whatever with East and everything. Especially in Russia, it was the Great East and everything. They have so many lodges with the name East, and also it goes with Ishtar. And without the mother goddess situation, because the same similar goddess with a little different names was throughout the cultures. At least that's how we portrayed in history, or variations on that, and like the same one, like the female goddess basically. And this is what, because they were occultists and like that, they try to, Isis is also Ishtar. So King James version has like specific things, and we all call it Easter, and we don't understand that they want to merge different, like the Christian religion with the pagan and occult knowledge there. This is what they try, because they want to portray all religions as being above all religions, and everybody would think it comes from Masons, but so yeah, it's very dangerous what they could do, and it's going to be a cult. It's not going to be like in your eyes, straight in your eyes. You can say, "Oh, here they trying to mess it up for me," so mess with the understanding of God's word. But there is definitely, absolutely, got to look very closely at the Bible for this specific
But
mystery.
you're not saying that means you should just discard it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should just
Absolutely
discern
no. I'm
it.
just saying you gotta you gotta also check for the all different translations and what it was in the original to
So
understand for yourself.
what's
In
that?
any case, there is like a whole bunch of interpretations. When you're dealing with each verse, you're dealing with one interpretation. There is always a whole bunch of others, less popular maybe, or different views. Like what are those guys who look at the end of the world thing? How they call
Yeah,
them?
I would not recommend listening to anything from a human out of church. You got to read it yourself,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
they will put their own spin on it, or just even do things to entertain you. Like, look at Joel Osteen. That's a rock concert. It's
It's all a distraction.
church in disguise. But Nico, what do you like to do or read to see, reading writings from the creator, like besides the Bible, I guess?
Well, I usually think actually it's like, I think there was a verse saying you look under a rock, you see God there. Anywhere you look, you're talking to another person, you're really dealing with God. So anything you do, if you put your mind to it, you're always in a dialogue
Have
with the
you had
creators.
have you had a Kundalini experience?
I did all kinds of things, yeah.
But
in
you
my
think
life.
you had a full-blown, like, third eye Kundalini awakening?
That's what I don't look at it. I don't know, always been looking at things from different perspective than most of the people. I don't really call it awakening, but certain different perspective on what's going on, because it's not really awakening. All the information is inside you regardless. Like from birth, you always have all the answers there, and all the, you just gotta properly look at things and change the values and see what's important, what's not. But it's not really, I don't look at it as awakening. And the whole, if you look at it's not
That's why
really
I said
Kundalini.
experience first.
It's a big thing. Kundalini is just a term, but you're looking at whatever, if you want to call it yoga or again Eastern type of philosophy and religion. The whole yoga thing, I think it's like your life. Oh, what happened to the video? An error occurred.
Well, there are people that
Ah.
that don't look into or do anything. They're not reading the Bible. They're not into yoga. They're not doing anything to cause this, what I call a Kundalini awakening, because it's the closest thing I've found to what happened to me 7 or 8 years ago, where a switch just turned on and I was like full spiritual mode, connected to the universe. You know,
Oh yeah, I had an
this.
I know what you're talking about. I had an experience like that. Yeah, if that's what you're asking,
Mhm.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah,
Okay.
I had a moment like that some years ago.
Yeah, and I wasn't doing yoga or anything for this to happen. I was meditating a little bit, but I was, most importantly, I was thinking about it, and I was wanting signs like from the universe, and I knew what a third eye was and all that. And it just, I don't know, it just happened one day. And it also happened to my cousin right around the same time,
That's interesting.
because we were both looking at it. Oh, they're making too much noise. Jeez.
Oh, did you have to go yell at some people? So Kundalini experiences. I haven't had anything like that.
But it's just terminology. It's a spiritual experience. Like in the Bible, it would be called I don't know, mystical experiences or something. When the prophets receive a message from God, not that intense, but like something on that scale of
I thought it was completely different
experience God.
because of the level of intensity, the awakening, like the perception, and the amount of time that it lasts. I thought that's all the difference. You know, it wasn't just like a fleeting one night event kind of thing. It's kind of characterized by having longer lasting effects. I could be wrong though. Oh, hey, William the Conqueror made it. Good evening. And hi to Gricketson.
Great. Man, I'm sitting there talking with my mic muted. But yeah, the Kundalini thing, it lasts months. I mean, but well,
Yeah.
the experience of it, but it changes you for the rest of your life. Like you now have this knowledge, like a universal truth, you know, and it's not something you read in a book. It's like it's just
Yeah,
beamed into your
when you
head.
certain, when you know it's like solid foundation which you don't forget, which you always can come back to. And
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
I have a feeling it's already in everybody, and it's like a form of light, and it's something to do with your DNA. Like I think all your memories, like even the ones now, like you think back to when you're 5, they're not stored in your brain. They're like stored in the DNA in all of your cells. Your brain is, your consciousness tells your brain, hey, move my arm up. And that's all your brain is there for, is to provide the electrical impulses. It doesn't store memories. Science has never found that it stores memories.
Well, where do we store our memories then?
Here's
Like
the
how
deal.
to talk, or remember what happened in third grade.
Check this out. There's people that have had full hemispherical lobotomies where they take out half of your fucking brain, okay?
Hmm.
Literally. And they have all their memories. They can walk, talk, do everything. So what's happening there?
As I say, it's like a computer or television, your monitor. You know, the thing is working, is there to produce a picture and everything, but the signal comes from the outside, and when it's not connected to the signal, it's dead. It's like dead body. It's useless. It's or like a driver thing you said about the car, like
Yeah.
it's like a car, and there is a a driver to that. So it's like
Man,
a
how do we only
network.
have 7 viewers? What the hell? Like, this is legit shit. But anyways, I don't care.
Weapon. You need more people. You want to advertise us?
No, not at all.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna eventually come up with some good product for advertisement, a good show, it's good to invest some time and promote it
Yeah,
properly
yeah.
on all the boards and everywhere in chats and stuff.
Yeah, but these are just impromptu chats,
Yeah.
not scripted or nothing. So when we, I'm gonna focus on, maybe another channel that's like the FE channel.
Yeah, like a front, like a front of the building with a nice lawn and painting
Yeah.
and everything. Like, facade, like a facade.
So I was saying like the FE channel, we have it. Well, I think I was talking with Cynthia about this, but like, not 8-hour shows, but maybe like 2-3 hour shows with an hour break in between. But to have the shows have sort of more like topics and like really discuss, these topics and not scripted, but have some pre-thought put into it of what we're going to talk about, so it's more detailed and people can find what they're looking for easier if they want to know more about a certain topic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Actually, yeah. I was we were talking about it, and I
Yeah.
had suggested breaking it up throughout the
Right.
day. Just different topics or.
And then so on those shows we can actually advertise them out, like let people know, hey, we're having a show at this time, and try to have them at the same time every day, but maybe some days have like another sideshow like earlier be better for the UK guys, because
Sure.
there's a lot of UK guys that are telling me they want to listen, but it's like really freaking late. They got jobs, so
Yeah, they're 8 hours ahead. So from our time zone, for us, it's 8 hours. So you can think of it that way, like a work day.
If you do 18 o'clock, 17 or 5, 6 p.m., this is in Europe, they're going to have +5, +6, so it's going to be like late evening.
Let's see, I had to get up at 2 a.m. to trade London time, which was 8 a.m. So it's a 6-hour difference.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
For you, for me, it's fine. Yeah, okay.
I used to trade euros. Well, not euros, but sometimes, but British pounds. And I think the British pound's kind of gonna go away. They're trying to hold on to it. I haven't looked at that in a long time. I bet you it's all jacked up from when I was predicting the US dollar was gonna fall. And it started going back up, and I got screwed on a trade, man, like bad.
Yeah, because it's artificially controlled and inflated. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I got something called a margin call when you don't have enough like equity left to hold the trade open, and it automatically closes out, and you like lose all the equity that was in the trade, and it went down 1 pip, which is 1/1000th of a cent. Yeah, where I'm like trading in like fractions of a cent of value change, like from the American dollar to the British pound. I was saying American dollar is gonna fall, and it was falling. but then it like started going back up, and it went back up basically right dead even to the point where it would have fucked me over, and it went over by 0.001 cent, and then it started dramatically, like if the trade was still open, like right now I'd be a millionaire just on that one trade if it was still open.
Yep.
Fucked
Sounds
up.
like you get screwed on purpose.
Yeah, and that's one of them things where I feel like, man, fuck, it's like the world's trying to just fuck me. And my brother had just died like a year before that, and like all this bad shit, like broke up with my like girlfriend, all just it's like when bad stuff starts happening, it just they pour it on.
Was this in 2012? Because I swear that was a horrible year for everyone.
Um, no, it's before that. Yeah, this is like 6 years ago at least.
Oh, okay.
This is back when people weren't expecting the dollar to go down.
So before, yeah.
Hey, William, are you there?
Hey, brother.
Hey, brah, what's up?
I lost my brother in 2006, dude, and I ain't never been the same.
Yeah, it definitely sucks. I was in like shock for a little while there, like
I'm sure.
looking at the world, the cars going by. I'm like, why are they driving so fast, and where are they going? Where is
Right.
everybody going? Why
I
is
almost lost my
every?
brother in 2014, and I guess I got
Oh,
lucky
man.
because I freaked out. It was pretty touch and go there for a while, and he needed so I was lucky. Well, he was lucky. But, yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, but that's when I was like atheist too, and believe it or not, shortly after that, man, after my brother died, I was like, man, fuck you God, as loud as I could in my backyard. And man, it wasn't even a month later, I started having all the spiritual stuff, and I was like reading the Bible, and everything was speaking to me. Like whatever I was thinking or feeling or like an issue in my life, I just flipped the Bible open to a random page, and it was like telling me the answer.
Yep.
And I was like, man, this is weird. And I asked for signs, and I got them like more than I could handle. And I don't know, it's like I was still second guessing stuff. Even with the stars moving in the sky, the stars themselves, with witnesses moving in the sky, because I told them they're there for signs and seasons, and they'll move if you want them to. And
Dude, that's what gets me about religion. The people that police religion nowadays act as if God is dead or he isn't here and doing things right in front of us every day because those people, he must not do that for them.
you ever met a Hispanic person's mom?
Yeah, my mom.
These fucking people, man. Maybe not your mom, you bet, but
Okay, like who are you talking about?
the typical average, like super Catholic,
Oh, yeah.
like super Catholic Hispanic moms, they beat their son, like hit him in the back, like and like they mentally fucking abuse, like verbally abuse like the people, but they're so pious and they go to church and they like talk about Jesus all the time and stuff. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? But it's
No,
whatever.
what I mean is like Christian preachers typically deny the big God, the main God, the creator. They act like he isn't existent or doesn't do things anymore. And he literally manifests things in my life. He doesn't need to prove himself to me like he's done in your life. He showed me so many times that it embarrasses me now. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
really want him to shame me.
Yeah, it's almost like asking for a sign now. It's like kind of, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like if me and you were sitting face to face. I was like, man, like do something to show me you're real. Like move that cup over there. He's like, what? You know what I mean? And that's where you got to be, like a relationship with the creator, the father. Like, it's the place to strive towards or be. Like if you're not there, I mean, if you're atheist. I don't think anyone is really atheist, because in your heart, you kind of, there's a special hole in your heart for just for that, and you cannot fill it. You can't fill it with sex. You can't fill it with a wife. You can't fill it with drugs. Nothing. And Marilyn Manson has the perfect song. It's like, there's a hole in my soul that I fill with dope. And I'm feeling fine. But, you know, it's referring to the fact that there's nothing, that, you know, it's a never ending hole. It's like a black hole. And the only thing that fills it is, you know, that relationship. And, you know, it's not like you're thinking about them all day, every day. You can, I guess. But, you know, it's just, it's the journey towards trying to know him and know the universe. You know, that's why we're all here with the flat earth, because we, you know, we're on that path of wanting to know the answers.
Right, we're not turning a blind eye anymore. We're not seeing what's right in front of our face, you know.
Yeah. And as much as they predictive program us and make us in trances and poison us and all that, we still choose to be oblivious. Like, you know, there, like I said, there's that little something there that says, you know, man, fuck it, I want, you know, the truth. Or it's like, fuck it, I'll skate by. And it can be, everyone can change in an instant. And it seems like it's happening. I mean, this flat earth thing, I didn't realize there were so many people that are like, oh my God, I was atheist before this and now I found God, you know?
I think a lot of people were definitely straddling. I know I was, you know, going away from it. And but you're right, you know, like I think something in me just kind of knew. But there was a piece also just in thinking that there wasn't anything. But then it got ugly really fast. Like things just got bad really fast for me. Like,
yeah, and it's perfectly fine to go down that path of thinking like, oh, you know, there's nothing, this was all accidentally created. But when you take it back to square one, you know, like the Big Bang, for instance, you still question, well, what was there before the Big Bang, and what is the space that it's expanding into? Where did that even come from?
Hey, Ace. We have a satanic shill over here commenting.
you guys got enough moderators, man.
No, I mean literally. His name's Satanic Shill. I thought it was kind of cool. Maybe he could tell us what a shill is.
Yeah, I was just like letting him hang out. He's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. People can be whatever. Listen in and participate, you know. Just don't be spammy.
I was on Mubian. Yeah, he was in Glowbusters. He's cool. I asked him if he believed in God. He's like, yeah, you know, black needs white, and, you know, those kind of metaphors. He's my whatever to my whatever.
I'm back.
He's my coffee to, he's my cream to my coffee. God and satanic shill. It's funny. Hopefully you get paid, bro.
But I think like God lets you explore these things, because I think when you do come back, it's even stronger. Like that faith won't waver again, you know. And sometimes people need to do that, you know. It's like their own journey, and however they're going to make their way to Him. You know, everybody's path is their own. That's why it's nobody's place to judge, you know. If someone's, you know, even a Satanist, you know, or an atheist or anti-atheist, it's just all, you know, we have free will for a reason, and He hopes that people aren't so blind that they can actually see the Creator. And he'll be shown, you know, he'll show himself, but God will show when he's ready, you know, not ready, but when the person is, you know, it's not the person's choice.
Right.
And I know there's like verses about that, and, you know, he says, you know, when I tell you you're ready, you'll be ready.
It's even as crazy as, you know, he's there the whole time and you just have a pair of sunglasses on. It's like literally right there, and you just decide one day to take the sunglasses off for a second to look. Yeah, and you'll see it. You can't. I mean, this whole world reeks of creator. It's like the DNA, the eyeball. You can't believe in evolution. It's impossible.
It's too gorgeous.
You can't believe in.
It's too perfect. There's too much perfection.
You know, I have a guy told me once, he goes, what's your favorite thing you could have? And I said, well, a Ferrari Dino, 1967 red. And he's all, you think you could ever go out in your driveway and have one just be there in the morning?
Yes.
And I'm all, no.
Yes.
And he's all, well, how could the most greatest machine ever built in the world, i.e. the human body, how could that just happen from something in a mud puddle?
Exactly.
And he got me thinking about that. You know what I mean? And I mean, not that I needed it. I always believe, but it's just an impossible theory, kind of like, well, we know about impossible theories, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Indeed.
They all kind of support their main one, though. You know what I mean? That there isn't a God. Everything from their history to their space to their medicine, even. It all has to do with there is no God, and it's only us, civilized men.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. They just choose to not see the complexity because, I mean, how does, something, even any, think of anything that's a one-celled organism, even multiple-celled organisms. When do you evolve to sexual organs and sexual reproduction, and who was there to show you how to do that? Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, and if it's, survival of the fittest, we would have killed off our only competitor. Oh, there's 2 men and 1 woman, kill the man off,
I think it's funny.
If it was evolution, we'd still be 30 foot tall, or taller.
What was that, Cynthia? Sorry.
I think it's funny that being civilized, we've destroyed the very thing we live on.
Right, and we destroy ourselves too. I mean, we're the only things that can create humans.
And that
so
is
we kill them.
Civilized.
Yeah, that's civilized to kill your babies.
I don't know anything that gets better with time, not even wine in the end. I mean, nothing gets better with age, not truly in the end. How could evolution be true?
Yeah, everything devolves to chaos. I mean, it's the law of entropy.
Well, they tell us, people died young 100 years ago. They tell us this, right? I've grown up hearing this. But when I got into my genealogy and I really investigated how long people lived, we lived up to 90-something years old until about 75, 80 years ago. And that's the truth, clear back. I mean, yeah, there were a few people that got killed in battles and died in debtor prison and this and that. But overall, pretty much everybody lived to be 90-something years old, and I'm not kidding you.
The only people were the crazy American colonists, in Virginia and shit, that were working their fucking asses off, and you know what I mean? And they didn't have access to all the the medicines from Europe and stuff, and we got away from natural cures, but they found turpentine over here in America in abundance, and that was one of the biggest commodities that England wanted, and when we stopped giving it to them, that might have been why we won the war.
Yeah. Well, it's my view that, I'm kind of a history buff major or whatever, but I think that they've been killing us with our food since the Roman days. I think it started with the bread. I think that they put stuff in there to make us not live to be old and strong like them. I mean, isn't it obvious that all these globalists are all in their 90s and are making plans for their next lives and stuff? I mean,
isn't it interesting that David Rockefeller got his 5th heart transplant at age 99 and survived it, no problem.
And Cheney lived longer than anybody with a fake heart and with a transplant. In both cases, he's beat all kinds of records.
I know. What kind of medical teams he got?
That's crazy.
He's got a SWAT team working in Beijing getting young people.
Fucking mechanical heart, dude. Holy cow. He has no morality, that guy.
Well, no, I mean, he's taken on the souls of, how many people now, hearts that he's had.
Are they heart transplants, or is it an artificial heart?
Heart transplant.
Is it a pig heart?
He lived for 8 years with an artificial heart, and now he's got a real one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's had multiple real hearts. Yeah.
That's disgusting. That's just like cannibalistic right there.
But who
Like,
even
fucking die, old
survives
man.
who 99-year-olds don't even live through routine surgeries, let alone open heart surgery. You know what I
Right,
mean
but he's
by
been
that?
living on, young hearts. So I mean, that energy that he's
Yeah.
like stilling, it's like keeping him young. It's
Yeah.
like a vampire.
And I guess his nastiness is corrupting the new hearts he's getting pretty quick since he keeps needing them.
Well, yeah.
He
As soon
probably
as his
still
blood flows through it,
smokes.
it's gonna start rotting it.
He's
They
probably
say
like
he's gonna
smoking.
go any day now. He's 100 now. You know, they're saying he's gonna croak.
Jeez,
And
like, what happened to like
see,
the whole like Caesarist, like the families of old where they would kill off the elders so they could get the inheritance? Like,
here,
isn't he
here,
old enough?
oh,
Somebody's probably like
exactly.
dying to get his fortune.
It's a full blown.
Well,
It's a full blown business in Hollywood. That
that's
anytime an old
ours.
star gets like the week old, they whack him and get the money for him.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, how come someone hasn't whacked him yet?
Here's
It's like,
the one.
oops.
Well, here's one.
Died like 10 years ago. Him and Hawking both, and they just still keep putting their pictures out there to keep their globalist lie going.
Gross.
How about this on the those top like tens and 50 lists of richest people in the world? How come you never hear like Rockefeller or Bush or you know what I mean? Those names.
Oh, they're totally protected.
You hear Bill
Well,
Gates.
they're not even close to rich. That's why, guys. They're only rich to us. Those people aren't even close to rich to the
Money-wise.
Rothschild level.
Hell no. But what I'm saying is Bill Gates, at the top with like his 86 billion. But Rockefeller's got trillions of dollars in like assets and whatever the fuck they do, controlling money.
Rockefeller Foundation, they split it up amongst 1,000 of them now.
So they
probably.
don't count that stuff. But what I'm saying is there are people out there that would make Bill Gates look like a peasant with how much money they have and control of. Peasant money, billions is peasant money, man. These people got billion-dollar bills, like. Oh shit. So what were we talking about? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, who's a numerology person? I need a diagnosis.
That's Ace.
Sure.
Ace. Give him your birth date.
Yeah. All right. What's your birthday?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a Taurus. I was born the 28th of April.
April. What's that? 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4, 2, 8, 1, 9. What year?
62.
Okay, 6, 2. All right. Y'all can talk
Yeah, I
about
don't care.
that.
Screw it.
Okay, so something I've been thinking about is when I've been watching this Illuminati crap, and they're saying that they're bringing the Lucifer in with the Grammys, and it's all about light. So I'm not quite sure what, because they say that God is light, but then they're saying Lucifer's light.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what that's all. Anyways, continue.
Okay.
If it's written down, I'm leery of it.
What was it? Anyway, like they say, in God we trust, right on the dollar bill, but the real God creator is always a capital G, lowercase letters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when they're talking about regular gods, like in the Bible, the other gods, that's lowercase. Okay, right?
Right.
Well, on the back of the dollar bill, it's like, in God we trust, but it's all capital letters,
Right.
thus making it lowercase letters in a sense, because the G is not superiorly, you know what I mean?
Right, everything is equal.
So it's actually Satan. They're fucking Satanists, and they put it straight in our face.
Right.
So, with the
Right, which
numerology,
God exactly?
William, you are an adventurer. You prefer like the outdoors, exploring. That's when you're happy. You are the most likely to overwork, abuse drugs or alcohol. This is if you're not fulfilling your like positive things. You know what I mean? Overwork, over sex, like sex addict type shit,
Mhm.
those types of things.
Okay.
So let's see, with the
You're
5,
not going to give them my social security number, are you?
no, why?
You pretty much fucking nailed it besides that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
So
Say it again.
it's
I'm
the
sorry.
life path of like an adventurer. You're like it's almost like explorer type person. You would never be able to be a cashier. You know what I mean? For a job, your job that you'd be happy is like different every day and like more like hands-on.
That is
Um,
like totally him. I bet you
For
anything.
40
yeah,
years, I never worked in the same place more than a couple days.
right,
You know, yeah, I've always moved around on our jobs in my whole life, and yeah, you totally nailed the whole thing. Everything you said was exactly me.
right.
You nailed my whole life, pretty much.
And that's just the summary that I keep in my mind for like 5s. You know what I mean? Because my cousin.
I got to ask you something real quick. Okay, so like when I woke up in 2011, I started seeing weird times all of a sudden. I started seeing, and this one I've seen on the net with other people. I started seeing the time 111 a lot, and then I started waking up at 3:33 in the morning. See, for like a couple of years, you know. And
Those
then
are
what?
master numbers.
And then what's really weird is like for 4 years, every time I looked at the clock, it was 11 minutes after. Okay, now check this out. But people thought I was nuts at first in my family. I got a family of 6, right, counting me. And then it didn't take them long for them to realize that I wasn't full of shit. And they'd ask what time it was. I'd look over, it'd be 11 minutes after the hour. And this happened for almost 4 years. Come January, last January, I got hit by a pickup. And I got even closer to the Lord. And I've always been close to the Lord. But, you know, I realized that He's kind of giving me like one more chance to do what He wants me to do, you know. And I sit in the hospital for a month. And ever since I got out of the hospital, every time I look at the clock, it's 12 minutes after the hour. And everything is in 12s all the time, Ace. I'm not kidding.
12 is the number of like psychic. It's like,
But isn't that weird? I mean, this is weird, man. I mean, I've even asked like a couple of preachers and stuff about it, and they're just not even deep enough. They're too worried trying to get you to donate money to them to even think about anything at all. But you know, I mean, because I went to this weird church kind of, which I call it that, because they're just all about money. But the weird thing was they had 11-minute coffee break, and I was like, how come did you call for an 11-minute coffee break? You know, and he never really could tell me. But that was when I was still into the 11 thing, and then all of a sudden, pretty much right about then is when it changed to the 12-minute. And 3 or 4 times today, Ace, I've looked at the clock at different parts of my house, and it's been 12 minutes after.
11s is the number of awakening. It's a master number, and it's like spiritual awakening. 12 is just one word to sum it would be like psychic. It means you're very receptive to, you know, you probably have way more deja vu than you ever used to.
Always been intense.
And what? Always what?
It's always been very intense, but way more so since about the year 2009.
Right. Okay. So, especially like if you see a 12:12 on a clock, basically the universe is receptive to your requests. So the universe is more receptive to your requests now. When it was at the 11, you had to do it more. You know, like it's like building an empire mode. Okay, if that makes sense.
How do I go through 51 or 50 years of none of that kind of crap going on, and then all of a sudden, numbers start just cascading into my life?
Those numbers have always been there. You just like started seeing them more. Like you'll notice, like if you're driving down the road, you'll probably see a license plate, and the number will jump out at you. Probably 12s now. You know.
Well, it's way more than that. No, I mean it's just yeah. I mean I could go, and then you know I only recently found out about the 33 thing about the Mason, and I should have known that forever. But that number's been popping up like crazy lately. Like at the store, I couldn't believe it. The other night I went, and it was like I don't know, it was 333, and then you know, and blah 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 blah. And I just everything was 33s, and I'm like, my God! And I looked up, and it was on a couple of boxes even, and I'm like, you know, I look at a box of oranges, and there's this sun symbol of the Masons, you know, it's a store. I'm like, what in the hell?
Right.
Well, this stuff is, you know, it's not satanic. Numerology And astrology is not satanic either. Now, trying to like predict futures and all that crap is. But God built this place, and it's all frequencies, okay? And these planets are some kind of electromagnetic things, and the sun and moon, and it's like a big clock with all these like intersecting lines. And throughout the year, or years, these things align differently. And if you're born that day, it kind of, you get that energy in a sense, okay? Now, numbers have energy too, and letters also. There's like A's, 1, B's, 2. You know what I mean? That gematria, I think is what they call it. I just call it all numerology. So a word has a certain vibration. A paragraph is kind of like a song. A book would be like a symphony. So like the Bible is like a symphony of musical notes if you consider each word like a key on a piano. So, if they did hack the Bible and put in different letters and change things here and there might be some keys that are off, but the symphony is still the same. You know what I mean? And the whole world is like this, and these numbers have vibrational power, and that's why they choose certain words specifically, and especially things that have 33s and 11s and 22s, and that's why they're obsessed with this stuff. And it really has power in this world of vibrations and numbers, and that's why they use these 33s a lot, because that's the highest master number, and they think they're master builders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they know this stuff.
What did you say about it being the spine also?
Yes, there's 33 vertebrae, and your head rests on it. So when you're a 33-degree Mason, you're like fully illuminated. Your head's fully illuminated. This 33 number runs in a lot of other things too. But I don't know. It's it all go. It's part of the universe, and it's there. You can use it. It's not demonic or anything, but they use it for demonic purposes, for spells, and that's kind of how spells work. Is they cast these vibrations, and when you get like a crowd of people chanting the same thing, like what Obama was doing, where it's like backwards, said, yes we can. It's like, thank you, Satan. Well, I bet you that yes we can adds up to a certain number. And that's really what was more important than the fact that it said that backwards.
Paul is dead.
Yeah. But
you're gonna trip when you guys. I'm gonna do a little video of this. I have some Life magazines that are from like 1967 to 69.
Sweet.
So you can see where they totally set our world up where we're living right now. You can see where they were trying to get us ready for it all through these magazines. You guys are gonna crack up when you see these on film, because it is just unbelievable. Looking at these are 50 years old, and it's kind of like seeing the beginning of the show we're in tonight. You know what I mean? It's just amazing. I'm glad I hung on to these for a long time. I've got these when I was in my 20s, and I haven't really looked at them that close until lately. They got the moon landings. They've got, just everything, dudes. You guys are going to trip. I'm going to do some videos here this next week, or hopefully this week. And it's amazing. There's everything from the New World Order to the computers taking everything over, and just crazy.
It doesn't like say it in broad. Does it say it in like broad terms? Like,
well, I'll read. Just go ahead and go talk for a minute. I'll read a little section. Okay. I'll find a section and I'll read it to you. You're gonna be blown.
Huh. Interesting. Y'all still there, Cynthia and Nick?
Yep. I was just gonna ask
him. I'm just watching Spartacus.
So do you have all the life paths memorized?
Yes. I've done it plenty of times. And that's just your life path. And there's also like the day you were born has a number.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty important. Your name has a number, like your power name, like your birth name, and then also the name you go by. you know, which would be usually like your first name, or like some people go by a nickname. So if people often call you, and people, that's why celebrities will change their name. And I know I have a second cousin that changed her name to something stupid, but specifically for like astrology. She got like all into that, and her life changed. She got like the job she wanted. She's married, like got kids now and shit. Like her life like turned around, and I'm sure most of that's just kind of like all in her head too. Like, oh, I'm doing this and everything's gonna be better. So she was putting out that positive energy, and that's part of it. And
that's definitely part of it. That's part of a lot, like prayer.
Just, you know, these vibrations and numbers are very, they're real. Like, you know, the 432 conspiracy, the music.
Yeah, the hertz that they down hertz, or you know, they put the vibration down to like an evil tone, like in the whole world, and like we got used to that sound, but really it's higher, and that's like the love and generation and creation.
Yes, and that's why when you hear like old classical music, it puts you in that. Even if you hate classical music, it's still, if it's in the background, it like mellows you out, and it's, you know, something about it, right? But
not all classical music mellows you out. I can't say that.
Well, I know
that. I mean, the newer stuff could be, you know, because it's at the wrong hertz, you know, the wrong tuning.
Rock that really gets loud, and it's just a piano.
So yeah, well, with the common radio music, they've equalized it all to, it's not 432, it's, you know, say 450. Whatever it is, it's really close. 420.
Okay, you there, guys?
Awesome. Yes, Pontus.
Okay.
Pontus.
This is July 25th, 1969, and Armstrong's on the front waving, and it shows all the guys at NASA and all that standing. It says, leaving for the moon. And now, okay, in the centerfold has a lady that looks like an old person who used to work at like a diner or a restaurant, like a truck stop lady, you know, one of the ones at the restaurant, little beanie on her hat, and little restaurant, you know, name tag, and she's sitting at this sink, and she's got this bewildered look, looking straight forward, and she's alongside a cash register, and it says 00 on the cash register. Please pay when served. And below her it says 2 plastic burgers, a slice of mucilage, a glass of carbon dioxide. And make it fast, honey. I've only got 20 minutes to catch my coronary. Now on the other page it says, on the other page it says, psst, the computers took over at midnight. Pass it on. Psst, the computers took over at midnight. Pass it on. The computers took over at midnight. And then it shows like 3 watches on the counter, right? And then on the other page, it talks about the sign of our times, and then it shows a bunch of empty seats, and then a clock up on the wall that says 20 minutes after 12. This is an eerie centerfold. It has nothing to do with the moon or anything. This is weird as shit.
Is it The Economist?
1220.
No, it's the Life magazine from July of '69. The moon issue.
Because Economist had like some crazy stuff.
Oh,
that's crazy.
That would be December 21st, because it kept saying past midnight. So past midnight on the 20th would be the 21st. So it's.
I'm just saying, this is in 19. How long? That's 47 years ago. And it has a feel. And over on the next page over, it shows this girl sitting there with a see-through kind of dress on, looking all kind of like a really kind of cute, but kind of like spaced out looking. It says, the nudity crowd tells you the human body is beautiful. Don't they know that tigers and horses and weasels have been laughing at us for eons? And then it goes on and on and on. You know, just something that I heard a couple of weeks ago on TV. And some of this stuff, literally, I've heard on TV lately, and it's written in all these paragraphs.
Like what would be one that you think?
That was one right there. It's just like I'll get it all down, and then I'll actually put it forward for you to see. But because I listen to stuff all the time, and this is old, and to hear this, I've heard it recently. You know what I mean? On the net or on TV, a lot of this stuff, and it's, in other words, it's talking points.
That happened like a week after I was born, just so everybody knows.
Real quick, Yvette had a good thing, and I didn't see a lot of these videos, but Nicholson 1968, like, it's really awesome at decoding and all that. He has a lot of videos apparently on the number 12.
Yeah, I couldn't find the title, but I know it's in one of his intro videos where he's kind of tacked it on into like a medley of his videos. Like he talks about that whole like talking with his real voice. Like I guess he didn't before, but at the very end there was like this whole clip about the pattern of 12, and he said that this was there was a whole complete video on it, and I couldn't find it by that title. So the one that I've just linked in the chat is called "What's in a Number: The Elite Node." And it's in a playlist, but he's just awesome. I would suggest watching him, and maybe you'll come across it, and he can share back with us the link. But this might even be it because it's talking about the numbers. But he goes specifically into just the number 12, like in depth. The way he does.
Okay, this picture here in the same article shows a demonstration going on. It shows a young priest lunging, and then a black guy right next to him looking like he's doing karate. And it says, "We over 30s are the ones who really made the revolution. We did what we did was create the whole new stage of man. It used to be that you had adolescence and then you finished school and went to work and became an adult. We inserted another stage, youth, by ordering everybody off to college at an end of adolescence. This gave us a whole new class, a highly educated people who could afford the luxury of applying adult critical faculties to our society because they weren't going to lose their jobs or neighborhood status by being unorthodox. With adolescent idealism and adult sensibilities, they were uniquely equipped not only to criticize our flaws, but to also act. They have made and to ask questions that we should have asked for ourselves years ago, and blah, 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 blah." This is why they fight us fighting them, because they think we're tearing down their little smart guy house that they built, their castle. They say it right here. They're better than the rest of us that don't have that. I mean, and this is 50 years old. Imagine how their kids feel.
Have you seen Protocols of Zion?
No, I haven't, but I've heard something about it.
From the late 1800s, they spell out exactly how our civilization has gone in the last 100 years and what their plans are. Specific. Protocols of Zion is the scariest shit you'll ever see. It's the plans of the elite.
Is there a video like just on it? Because I know I've read it.
Reads it. A video. This guy reads it.
Oh, okay. He just reads it. I think I saw it then.
It's sickening.
The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Anybody can find it online. Just type in PDF after the name, and you should be able to find it. I know I've downloaded it many times, and it's also just published on websites. It's really, really crazy if you've never heard of this. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything, the way they're going to manipulate us with the movies, the film, our school.
My sixth grade teacher, the first ones that taught me about it. Honestly, I've been hearing about it my whole life, and I totally believe it.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. I mean, they try to claim that it was, like it was fake or a forgery or a hoax, but it's like, well, no, maybe, but considering that all this stuff has come to pass, it's kind of hard to claim that. You
guys ever remember an old silly show from the 70s called Barney Miller?
Yeah.
Not too long ago on the net, I seen a clip from 1983 where they call out the Rockefellers, the Kissingers, the New World Order, and this whole thing right now, and it's done right in front of us all. Yeah, I think it was 83, Barney Miller, 1983, about the New World Order. Look it up, and you can watch it yourself. I saw it on YouTube.
Can you repeat just that real quick? Your mic it just went totally dead.
1983. It's Barney Miller, 1983. I think it was the year, and it's about the New World Order, about Rockefeller and Kissinger and all them people.
Yeah, Henry Kissinger, he's something else, isn't he? He just manages to never get his name mentioned in anything, doesn't he?
I've
I
hated
think he's
him
kind
since
of
I was
like,
7 years old.
yeah, I think he might be Satan. I don't know. That man was not good.
Or they're supposed to meet soon, or just met. Yeah, but the thing, it was they were always getting exposed. If you look at the Federal Reserve, in the beginning there was so much criticism, and they were back then exposed. If you're talking like J.P. Morgan, this guy was always, everybody knew that he was pretty much Satan right there.
I know, but it's like how it doesn't take very long for people to forget, and or people don't pass on the knowledge. Like how
Creature
come?
from Jekyll Island.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. So the Creature from Jekyll Island, that's a book, right? By one of these other conspiracy.
Yeah, it's about the Fed and how they went out to an island and planned our demise out there and took our banks from us and did all of it.
Oh, right.
By the way, about the Elders of Zion and their the text you're talking about, I actually never read it, but from what I hear about it, well, first of all, when it appeared in, I think, end of 19th century or right at the beginning of the 20th century, somewhere mid 1910 or so. Well, in any case, it appeared at the same time as that actual Federal Reserve very closely, and the whole thing started actually in Russia and like the European parts of Russia and the Hitler and all that Nazi movement. Actually,
Yeah. I would be surprised if it all happened in 1913, because I swear to God, everything happened that year.
The anti-Semitic movement was very powerful during actually the Tsar. So like some people want to blame communists, but no, actually, the first Nazis and pretty much the Germany and Prussia, Austria, and all the other countries in the region, they learned like the heart, the beginning of the movement was actually in Russia, and the whole. And this is who they blame. Usually the special, whatever the KGB of that time, the Tsar's special service, this is who they usually blame for the text. And I think it's pretty much, from what I understand, obvious that it is to frame the Jewish people, but at the same time it's based on, it's very believable in a way that it accurately describes a lot of stuff. So when people read this kind of, they right away know, who they're talking about and what's happening. So I don't really think it's real, but it doesn't make it false, the whole situation with the conspiracy of some, group of people. And Jewish. I mean, look, the whole world, the word Jewish is very complicated because I don't understand, like, what are they talking about nationality, about the nose of a person, or religion, or it's like the Jewish is a different thing for different people, actually.
No, exactly. It's not really. But they use it to their own advantage. It's like just now I was Googling the protocols of Zion, and they have it like in the online Jewish library and about the Holocaust, but they classify it as under anti-Semitism. But how is it anti-Semitic if it was, written by, like the Zionists, and they're trying to claim that it wasn't, but somebody wrote it and somebody's, making it happen, and giving them the credit, so I don't know.
Have you guys ever heard of, like, I don't know if it's a mental illness or whatever, but say this is just an example. Like, say a wife just like gives herself a black eye, and calls up the cops and says, "My husband beat me. Look at this black eye." And all of a sudden it starts happening, and you know what? The way we found out about NASA and all these other things, I'm not sure if I believe history and all the different versions of history. I'm not sure I believe them all anymore. I think I'm starting to believe the stuff. I heard stuff from old timers when I was a kid, like, we sunk the Lusitania to get us into war, and then all of a sudden later on I find out that is true. I found out,
Yep.
40 years after a man from World War I who was there told me that what he told me was true. And so, I got told a long time ago that all the main Nazis were Jews. And I'm thinking I believe it. None of them the only one, Heinrich Himmler or whatever, Heinrich was the only one with blonde hair out of all of them. They all look like Jews. I know that what's his name was, the guy that was in charge of Himmler, he was full blown. So what if they made the world think that 6 million of them have died 300 times in the last 10,000 years, They like that
Well, it's already
number.
been proven that it's like less than 10,000.
Yeah, but you know what? If you look up history, in 1843, supposedly 6 million Jews died, blah, blah, blah. It's been a story they've used a lot of times. I don't know if it's true, but I'm just saying that when I heard this stuff, I couldn't believe it, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, my God, it's true, So I don't know what to believe anymore, but I'm just going to check everything twice.
Well, my kind of rule of thumb right now is everything that I've heard or believed is not true. Everything that I've heard or learned or believed, I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to put the word debunk or hoax after it, or the truth about blank, and I'm going to start from there, and I'm just going to start over. And that's pretty much that's done me well for a couple of years now, so I highly recommend everyone do it.
But
even if it goes against what you believe, you should know what's the opposite of
Well, you know what teaching. I mean, don't you, Yvette? Like when they're afraid some secret's going to come out, just anybody, not the Jews or not people in 9/11, but just in general, when people are afraid, powerful people are afraid something's going to come out, they try to head it off at the pass by putting out other versions of shit like, oh, the Cubans killed Kennedy, or the aliens killed Kennedy, or, like if anybody but the CIA killed Kennedy, I mean, hey, it might have been somebody mad at him that he did his wife, or
it was the bankers, though.
some motivation behind what Jewish or whatever, what behind this conspiracy with 6 million Jews, and because there's 6 million is a special number for them because it's like a half of the population. They're supposed to be 12 million at that time or whatever.
The census says 400 and something thousand.
The whole, of course, it's obvious, but the whole idea of the events happen, the terrible events happen, and that they're trying to make big is because there are religious people, and for them that they all wait for Messiah to come, and for Messiah to come there gotta be certain events unfolded before he comes, so they kind of really want all that stuff to happen, and the Armageddon
you're totally right, Nick. Yeah, they've set us up to believe that Jesus is coming back, the aliens are coming, all these different things, different people are waiting for different things to happen.
And the Jewish nation is described a lot in the Bible, and a lot of specific things gotta happen, have to do with them, the whole big story. And for them, it's not. We have the Old Testament and the New Testament. Jewish people have Talmud, which is like a lot of books, and then a lot of rabbis talking about a lot of stuff. And yeah, so they're very religious. It's a huge thing for them. So many of the events they just try to go along with faith, and all the numerology. If you're going to look at the bank, especially at the economy, you're going to see that the numerology play there, how there is you remember the Shemitah story? Did you hear the 7-year cycle? And like some of that is very, very true, because they would have a crash of whatever 2008-9 when there was 777 point drop and a 7-year cycle, and they have a lot of this stuff going on with Israel, and when it was established, and because the prophecy gonna happen like after the Jews gonna take back Israel and all of that stuff. Again, and then time now is pretty hot according to all their flags of prophecy signs and all.
Yeah, well, it says not even the angels in heaven know. And at 7 years old, when I heard the UN made the new Israel, I told the preacher, I go, it sounds kind of convenient, don't it? I got in trouble, man, sent to a different part of Sunday school for calling bullshit on
it. Be careful with that. It's right away. It's they already have a stereotype, and they know what to do with our kind. So yeah, they don't. I usually, I can't stop myself. But talking about this stuff at school, at work, around in that kind of environment is, they're not gonna listen. Nobody gonna care how much sense you make, how you're looking straight at the issue and showing it to everybody because they have cognitive dissonance. It's already turns and it's like a switch flips. They close their ears and start hating. Yeah, they don't look at you, they don't hear you at that moment. They have an image in their head that they're trying to destroy. This is what we usually deal with. So yeah.
Hey, they've tried twice.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They've tried twice. Don't just listen to somebody who's scared. I don't give a fuck about them at all.
Yeah, I find it's easy to not talk about it because I don't feel like starting from the beginning or explaining. So instead of just interjecting with some random fact that I overhear, I just don't even point it out because everything's so loaded now, and I don't know. I find myself more at a loss than. It's not that I can't explain it, but I mean, do you really just want to sit down and have like these conversations? Sometimes like, I don't. There's people I just don't want to have those conversations with. I just rather keep things on the surface. So it's easy, Not that I work or anything, but I can think back to my coworkers, and there's not very many of them I would actually talk to about this stuff with. Even best friends,
Isn't that true? But I had a nurse call me today, and apparently the nurses around these parts are starting to wake up, which blows me away. I'm
That's
blown
good.
away. She's all the doctors are still not even. They're like, and I go, yeah, they're kind of got vested interest. But she goes, don't lose faith. She goes, a lot of us girls are starting to notice weird things, and it's like, well, she told me this on the phone, Yvette. I'm like, really, man, my heart was lifted up, totally.
In the medical field, that does lift me up also because it's like the nurses who have to dispense the vaccines and stuff, and they, a lot of them they're just fully sold, on them, and if they're waking up to things, they're going to wake up to everything.
She's trying to get off all the drugs they got her on. She works at a doctor's office, and they've got her on like 15 different types of stuff, and so she's trying to get off of them now, and go to natural stuff and just get off of the stuff. And so she's realizing because I won't do a lot of the stuff they're trying to get me to take, and because I don't want to be on it, and I don't need it.
And those statins. If anybody listening, your doctors try to push statins on you, don't take them. You can reduce your cholesterol just drinking apple cider vinegar with honey and water in the morning every single day, and they'll never tell you this. And you can even.
What is that? Helps?
Cider vinegar, and it has to.
What disease or what affliction?
Oh, for cholesterol.
Oh, okay.
It'll just kill you. It'll kill you faster with low cholesterol. That's all it's going to do because your body needs cholesterol. Your brain needs it. Your heart needs it. Your blood vessels.
They started having problems with those right away, and I think they still push them. I've always said no. They tried to put me on them 10 years ago or better, and I've always said no, and I'm glad I did. I've heard bad things about them.
People die young with low cholesterol, and what it does is it strips your body of CoQ10 because it sees it as a cholesterol, which is a super beneficial one that your body needs. And it's like after it removes the CoQ10, it just like every process after that CoQ10 enables, it eliminates and diminishes. Like your
is that what's in peanuts?
Vitamin D and sorry? What was that?
CoQ10, is that in peanuts?
Did you ask us that what's in peanuts? I don't know.
There's something in peanuts that's really good for heart disease that they're now extracting and actually using it to like totally fight heart disease and like high cholesterol but it's all natural and it's like some new craze that's out.
I'm not sure, but I wouldn't doubt it. It's just the sad thing is it's like all these vaccines and all the crap that's in them makes people allergic to peanuts, So it's terrible. But
that's allergy. You die quick on that stuff, definitely.
We're getting our dislikes in the YouTube, 24 dislikes. Hate, massive hate.
Wait, we already got 24 again? It's one person who does that. Because it's always the same number, and it's ridiculous that somebody is such a loser that they have nothing else to do.
I mean, come on, we have this little thing, a few people talking about, whatever. Somebody has no life to do.
Yeah, if this was monetized, we would be getting like money every time they hit.
Oh, really? Good.
Every time they like came into view.
Hey man, can't you do thumbs up for us? Come on, what's up with this hate? If you're still here,
I went to
press the other
Globebusters
one
last night for about.
next time.
I went to Globebusters last night for about 20 minutes, and they had a bunch of bad trolls. It looked like us like 4 days ago. You know what I mean?
Oh, and we were getting attacked.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe they're regulars, but it was wacky. I didn't even comment. I just kind of looked and just hung out for a minute, but they didn't really seem to have their crap together like they want to throw off. I mean, it wasn't organized that great, and their people weren't really that impressed. I didn't think.
Right. So yeah, I haven't heard anything about this peanut thing, but yes, yeah, I mean, it's drugs that doctors push on you. I mean, for someone to get up to 15, that thing that is in people that wants to claim authority, like, oh, my doctor prescribed it, so I have to take it. I don't know how many times I've walked out of the doctor's office with a handful of prescriptions, and I literally just threw them all in the garbage as soon as I left. Like, nothing in me told me, oh, I have to, take all of these. He's just practicing on me. He's like, oh, do you have this? Here, you should try this. This has helped a lot of people. And how, do you have restless legs? Here, take this. And I'm just like, wow, this is insane.
It's not a joke. It's a crime. It's what they're doing is mass poisoning, hooking up people on chemicals that eventually, do damage to them throughout life, to their kids, to destroying the whole thing there.
And not once do they talk about nutrition. Not once.
The stuff, how many people right now statistically are on antidepressants and have mental issues and getting prescribed all those SSRIs, serotonin reuptake, and all similar crap, and it's just out of proportion. It's just too many, and when are they gonna? That is a crime. That is a major, like we talk about Hitler is supposedly gassed some amount of people, so they doing the same thing, just slowly and in bigger numbers today. With vaccines and other stuff we talked about earlier, chemicals they add in the food, what they do, it's just. It's getting worse and worse. People think, the bad stuff passed. No, it's just, it's getting worse every day. It's just how you look at things,
So, apparently, screen keeps breaking up or getting cut out every 10 minutes. So, I really don't want us talking about what we're talking about.
Oh, no, negative stuff.
The recording will come in with intact, not cut up or cut out.
I kept hitting the wrong button, try to get rid of the double, I didn't want to screw up the thing, so I kept it twice in a row. I hit the wrong thing and went off.
From where?
So I guess people are having to keep reloading. I haven't had to reload yet.
YouTube window?
Yeah.
I did.
Hopefully it's just connections, when was it, yesterday or the day before?
What is that animal?
When I was checking out other live streams, I noticed there were problems on their streams too. Like every time I went to load it, it would say, like some static screen. So hopefully it's recording well, and for everybody who's having to, check back or it's getting cut out, able to fill in the blanks or listen and it'll be complete. And is Ace still here?
His his mic's muted.
He must be attending to his company. I think he said his brother showed up. So.
Well, he's already fallen asleep as usual, snoring.
We're not going to let him lie down on his couch. So he's our numerology guy, so I don't know anything about numerology.
Yeah,
What's that animal, Nick?
I've always known that I was a 7. And he didn't believe me. He did my numbers. He's like, "You're right. You're a 7." I'm like, all the way around.
That's a wrong link. I'm gonna put a link in the chat. I got an article. No, this one, the BBC link to the news. It's just recently happened. Some family was passing by. It was the snowstorm, and they saw supposedly. I don't trust any news anymore, but supposedly saw this pig. I think actually it's probably fake because a few days ago or some time ago they started releasing video about animal cruelty, how they this whatever they do at the pig farms, Hornell company, and obviously all the others, how they treat the pigs and how terrible the whole thing is. What we're doing with pigs, and this is kind of to counterbalance, to have some people do good things to pigs. You know, there's a chance there's a little paradise where they could send pigs and they're gonna be.
Oh, so it is a pig. I couldn't tell if it was a sheep
Yeah.
pig or what.
It was a little pig stuck in the snow, almost dying, and the family saved and warmed him.
I thought it was like
this article says there is like a special resort for like pigs, and they live happily ever after. I guess it's all just a fairy tale for us not to be so stressed about millions of animals being mistreated and murdered and eaten by us.
Oh, and I had ribs tonight too.
Yeah.
Maybe ribs. I'm a horrible swine eater.
It's not bad that the eating, but what they do at the farms, how they produce this meat, how they treat those souls, the medicine they give them, all the environment, and the people who do that.
Making popcorn.
Ah, all right.
Is that like your dinner? I hope you're actually eating a meal, Ace.
A few months ago, I was working up on this farm, kind of a marijuana farm, a legal one up in the woods. And we would go by this farm every day where these 2 pigs were, and they were laying every morning in the cold. They were laying alongside of each other, and these pigs were big animals. I don't know how big. I'm going to say probably 700-800 pounds each, maybe bigger. And one was white and one was red. And for like 30 or 40 days, I went by every morning, and they're not in the shed there. They're out in the middle of out in the frost, sleeping, both of them side by side. And all of a sudden, one morning I go by, and one of them had moved, and in the middle of them was a baby, and he was about 400 pounds now. I mean,
really?
And within a couple of weeks, he was almost as big as them, but they had kept him hidden for at least 50 or 60 days. I went by and saw them both laying side by side, no sign of that little guy, and he was in between them. And that's why they were laying out in the cold, to keep him warm, because there must have been yucky in the shed, but they were out there, they were keeping him warm.
Oh, pigs are so smart. We really shouldn't eat them. I feel bad now.
Well, there are some people that take care of their animals right, you know what I mean?
I don't see any much difference between a dog or a pig. They actually look more like human with their skin and everything. I don't know. I love animals.
Pork. I can't eat pork anymore.
Yeah, dogs are kind of chewy.
Yeah, I can't eat pork anymore. I don't know why. I think it was after Santos Bonacci, listening to him and seeing some other things. I'll still eat a steak and maybe bacon, but I tried a pork roast the other day. It tasted fucking disgusting. Like the meat.
Yeah, I watched. I watched Sano, and I overdosed on Beatles music there for a few days.
I was listening to the Beatles today. But yeah, I guess we get their energy, and so when they're mistreated, that's what we eat, is that bad energy.
Yeah, but more so is just the general energy,
Whatever happened to
the lower
flat
life
earth
form.
and hot potatoes?
I don't think she's sick. She applied for her vacation. She's taking a vacation with pay. I'm just kidding, Trish.
I thought she brought a lot of attention to the flat Earth there for a while.
I think so, man. I don't think she's that bad. I don't know why everyone's hating on her.
I guess it's a human instinct or something to tear up your own.
Oh, guys. I mean, really, what does she do? She interviews, upcoming, usually, flat earthers, and gets kind of more like their backstory and stuff. She ain't trying to prove nothing.
I know. She uses a method that great journalists have used forever. I kind of liked her, I really did.
It's a human interest, thing. Like what Humanistory is trying to do. But I don't really like their angle very much. Something about them.
I haven't had a chance to listen to any of their.
Yeah. It's alright. Not missing nothing.
So, are we done with the numerology talk, or what?
Not if you want to ask questions. Go ahead.
Tell me what do you mean by life path?
Well, Ace, you told me about my past. Why don't you tell me a little bit about my future?
It's going to be full of adventure. There won't be a dull day.
You mean I'm going to get to go down to Antarctica with Charles?
You'll be living on the edge.
I love that Viking film, man, except for the part about the Vikings not coming back.
You would be a Viking, yeah. If anyone's going to Antarctica out of our little group, it'd be you, just based on your number.
Awesome, brother. Now I'm shit.
Or
Mama better watch out.
Or you'd live the rest of your life in an alley with the needle hanging out of your vein.
No, I'm past those days, long past.
Okay. Either way, you're flying high.
But I tell you what, I'm making some pretty good wine right now. It's about 4 or 5 months in. I can't wait to bottle it.
Wow, I didn't know it takes that long to make wine.
Well, you gotta let it sit for 9 months before you bottle it and let it all fall out good. You can make it to where you get drunk in like 4 days.
Oh
yeah. You put antifreeze in it.
But it wouldn't have a bouquet or a nose,
Yeah, it smells like cheap wine, but it won't be good. It won't be clear and crisp and tasty. Like 9-month-old wine is really pretty good.
Don't you love it when people, it's usually ladies, they're like, oh yeah, you have to try this new wine, blah blah blah, so good. And you get there, and it's a fucking box of wine in the fridge.
Never had that happen, Ace.
Because I hang out with some lowbrow people, I guess.
No, I guess I was always the one that had to supply the wine.
Yeah. See, people are like, I don't like wine. It's like, that's like saying you don't like food in general.
Right?
You know?
There's always foods we don't like, and there's foods we love, and that's the same with wine. I mean, there's so many varieties and flavors, and
Well, I'm an old beer drinker from way back. You have to acquire a taste for wine, and you kind of got it to really appreciate it. To me, I didn't really appreciate it till I was probably in my 30s. I knew I was supposed to when I was 10, but I didn't until I was in my 30s, probably.
Right.
Doesn't mean I didn't drink it. If it flowed, I drank it.
so. Anyways, I was asking you. So what do you mean by life path when you're talking about numerology?
Okay. Got a mouthful of popcorn. Okay.
I used to be a waitress. Like, can't you tell? I'm asking you exactly when you shove your face full of food.
Oh, that's horrible. It's your birthday number, first of all. Like, the day of your birth. Like, all the numbers added up. Like, 1982, you would add 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 2 plus the number of your month and day. And this is like the main number in your chart of about 7 numbers that make you more unique. Because everyone born on the same day is going to have that same life path number, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, they're all going to go off to do different things and be kind of a little different. So it's like the main vibration. So you got a 1 through a 9. That's all you can be when it breaks down. But there's also special occasions where you're an 11, a 22, or a 33. And that's very rare. It's also rare to have a 0 in your chart. So like if you are if the numbers add up to a 10 or a 20, that's very secondary vibration, don't really do much. But like a 1 would be like a boss, like the boss of the company. A 2 would be like the secretary. A 3 would be like a rock star or class clown.
Oh, you were
for the party.
You were asking me about a name, something, numbers. I missed the chat. I was just checking it. Right? Did you ask me?
I don't know.
Like a number, name.
Your name? Oh, okay. So your name has a Y vowel sound, which is a wise spirit. So, Nick, when you were growing up, people would probably say, "Oh, he's wise beyond his years." You know? Did people ever say that?
I am stupid. You know, because the things that you started saying earlier regarding my date of birth, exactly the same. It's like very good explanation because I read the horoscope also that has to do with the number, the total number when you're born, and that was very accurate. And I heard
what was your number?
So what for birthday or
what
for
was
the
it?
name?
An 11. Oh.
Yeah, number was 11. Yeah, for birthday.
You're really a 2, which is kind of like the lover or the secretary. Like you help people, you know. But you're an 11, so you're also, you know, a leader type of a person in reality, but in a different way than just a normal boss. You're like, people come to you for, you know, to seek knowledge and stuff like that. You also have an inner voice that's always telling you you're not doing good enough. And that's the curse of being a master number. Anyway, so this life path is just your general how your life's gonna end. You know, like it kind of predicts your entire life. Then you have a birthday number, which is the actual day of the month of your birth.
26.
And see, they tweaked. You might think, oh, well, the calendars are different, whatever. Well, they actually tweaked it to fit this calendar with the vibrations by just observation. The Mayans used to use this number system. They also would name their kids based on these numbers and combinations of numbers.
They had a 360. That's the thing. Most of these guys, they had 360 year. So you have 12 months of 30 days and all this numerology. That's 360, and this is what their one of the wheel cycles I think was 360. That's what I heard. It's kind of speculating, but and now I guess the rotation of stars or whatever it is. In the globe model, it's a rotation of Earth changed by just like 1.5% to be 365. So just changed just a little bit, but it's pretty much 360, and this is so significant. All these coincidences, or so-called, that it's just too many coincidences for it to be magical like this.
There's another reason they changed our calendars to fuck us up from knowledge like this and other knowledges, and to get our biological clocks off sync. That's the same thing with why they do the daylight savings. It's to get you fucked up,
Combobulated.
Yeah, there you go. Fuck you.
So, what was the 7? Or do we skip 6?
Okay, 6 is a nurturer. They'd like be the best mom ever. You go to a house of a person that's a 6, and they got like tons of food, and they offer you food, and just nurture. They'd be like really good parents. There's obviously, I'm super summarizing these into like, a 7 is you have the hardest time making friends. 7s might feel like they're outcasts a lot. They are very spiritual, not necessarily like religious or anything, but like just in touch. They can often see like ghosts or spirits or whatever. What else about a 7? They are here to advance spiritually. They're more into that, like self-help and like, more than like becoming rich and famous. A 7 will never become rich and famous. They hate like the spotlight in that way. I'll just move on to the 8. 8s are the master. They're the masters basically, so they're the types that are going to go to school and get all kinds of degrees. They're like very technical, maybe a little snobby, kinda, but they're like the book smart people, but they could also be CEOs.
Psychopaths.
Probably. The 9s is the most evolved number. Like if you believed in reincarnation, they would have reincarnated more times than anyone else. So they're like kind of at the end of their journey, and they usually become like they're attracted to humanitarian type work, like being an EMS person or a firefighter. Probably not a cop. Like a 4 might become a cop, or a 5, or an 8. But
So maybe like philanthropists.
Yeah. Yes. But they probably don't always make it that far because they're hung up with helping people. They might overhelp people, and it drags them down, So that's that. Then you got the master number 11. I kind of already explained that. And then a 22. 22 is the most powerful of the influences. They usually will become somebody like a politician or, something crazy. But it's a catch-22. That's where the term catch-22 comes from. It's got, there's an equal opposite reaction type thing. That's why scandal always follows them, but, they're trying to do good, whatever. 33, I don't really know exactly what it is, but it is a master number. It doesn't mean in numerology the highest of ascended masters, but it's just a master number. And I would assume it's got a double 3 meaning, which, 3s are the most, rock star type, become a movie star, individual style, life of the party. These are attributes of a 3, so a 30, I didn't read about 33s.
Well, they're also 311 because, it's the only way you can divide that number is 3 times 11.
Yeah. True that.
There's many meanings. That's one of the, nice numbers. So, 1/3 of something.
Yeah. So everyone's hung up on names and stuff. They're really like just doing it wrong. Just because Simpson equals 33, that's really not how that works. That's just pointing out that the Illuminati put their code in it, and chose that name. But there's power behind these numbers, like another part of numerology chart would be your name, both your full birth name and then also the name you go by, which could be a nickname. So that would be like your power name. And you can change that, and it does make a difference. If you start calling yourself by a different name, you can get different results with people. Some names just don't resonate, just like a bad, musical note. You feel me?
Yeah.
So you add up all the numbers of your name, like A's 1, B's 2, a J starts back over, it would be a 1, and you go through the list, A to Z, and you just add it up individually, and then you get the total number. And when you get a total number, you're always trying to reduce it to a single digit. So if you come up with 23, it's going to go to a 5, right?
Yeah, okay. Look, man, we're going to lose like everybody. I think people don't like going into nice 7 watching just was 11.
What's that?
I think people don't like listening to our horror. I like it. It's very good, but I think people don't like listening to our horoscopes and stuff. We lost 4 viewers.
I'm not looking at the chat, so.
You said about the calendar and how they tricked it and changed it, and it's a very interesting topic. How many times and how they were changing calendar, because a lot of like stuff that happened in history, some events, I don't know, meetings, wars, and cities, a lot of that actually happened. A lot of that are copies of one another with different name, because in different language, like you would call, I don't know, Spanish people, you would call them beaners or some derogative term. So one population of people, if they don't describe themselves, if they didn't leave history about themselves, you have history of somebody else talking about you, and that person usually gonna have some different name for you, and different regions are gonna have even completely different names that could sound nothing like. So you're gonna have this different, like a king, let's say, he would have a bunch of different names, and this is how we're gonna know about him. And also, since it's different regions, all different regions had calendars very different, and religion was very often tied with that, and the moon cycles and the changes that happened, some catastrophic event where it changed the pole, the geographic pole, and stuff like that people talking about. So that gives us a huge variation and difference. So to put that together in, I believe it was 16th century, they had a scholar named Scaliger, or you can find on Wikipedia. I think it was an Italian guy. So he was the one to analyze the biblical texts and the other texts from different countries to establish one timeline, which we use in today, because we have Jesus was born at 0, died at 33, and today's 2016 years passed from that time. We have birth of Jesus as an indicator with which we need to put it.
Hold on. Do we know for sure it's been 2016 years?
Yeah, that's what I'm coming towards. That 2016 is that's the date we use. Everybody, you can know what year today it is, unless you wish. So that exactly. The birth of how long ago? So the Jesus according to calendar was born 2016 years ago, but all the actual evidence of our history shows that it's much shorter. And a lot of events that were happening closer to us, they put them back in time. Some events, and to separate them so people don't notice how it all fits in one small picture, that they separate them way far away in time, because 1,000 years, it's actually a lot. We only live at best 100 years. So for us, 2,000 years, if something happened 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years, 5 or 7,000 years ago, it's not much different for us, just a long time ago, far, far away in the past. And the way they look at the rocks, if you have like it differs because different weather condition, and you have Sahara, for instance, that just recently became a desert, so the pyramids looked all messed up after that happening there. But if you have look at the photos of 19th century of Egypt, you still see the remains of the flood. There are like pyramids, and there are water like lakes and stuff, and a lot of that stuff was actually underwater, and then it already receded and everything. Now you have complete desert practically, but we see that change, how the remnants of the flood, which happened pretty recently, according to all this other things that I was talking about, the cities and the first floors being buried. So that water is receding. You have, for instance, Aral Sea in Russia. It was a huge sea, and in the past, since 70s, it went to zero. It's just sea disappeared. They have just the desert now.
Do you
It's a
think
huge
all the
event.
water is draining? They say the Great Lakes are losing all their water.
In a lot of places, well, of course, it's changing. Earth is big. Somewhere you could get more or less, but a lot of actually stuff is drying out, and it looks like it's getting drier and drier. Of course, climate change. But the thing I was getting to, so you say again, the first difference that's very noticeable, it's the 1,000-year gap that we have, like from birth of Jesus to the Middle Ages. Because if you look at all the paintings of the people, actually Renaissance, say 14th, 15th, actually 15th, 16th century, maybe some as early as we date official, they paint Jesus and the Middle Ages, the guys in armor, the guy dressed as a classical, and all the architecture around. They would have, Jesus walking around with whatever, having supper or walking around the streets, and it would look like Middle Ages Europe, like 15th century or so. So that already show, and they always portray him as being present in their time. And official science that they had they were crazy. They were so crazy. That's how they explain it. They were so crazy about Christianity that they fantasized. That's what they say. Fantasized that Jesus was walking amongst them. But in reality, that all of them, they didn't conspired to do this. It's just because it was very close to their time that they were painting. Or another example, you have Jesus dying in 33rd 33rd year, and then you have a crusade to go retrieve his tomb and whatever, pay back for all that stuff that that Jerusalem was overtaken by Muslim. But that happened 1,030 or 50 years after birth of Jesus. So if you remove just 1,000 years, as it's noticeable in many other places, you're going to end up, okay, Jesus died, and very soon they went with a crusade, just a couple of decades after, and they went with a bunch of crusades, because this is when they started. And why would all of a sudden 1,000 years, and they had no printing press, no nothing like that, history all of a sudden became, they remembered that Jesus was killed, and they went to retrieve his tomb and whatever, kill the Muslims. So this is where you see 1,000. Another very, very good example that it's obvious that the 1,000 years is the Pompeii, or whatever, that volcano situation that supposedly happened in 70th year 70. When they just now opened it up, removed all the things that covered it, all the particles, what is it called, sulfur, not sulfur, but whatever, the dust that settled, like meters of dust. When they removed, what you see is a typical middle-age city as you see in Italy or the whole Europe. You can see the same buildings, the same everything. So, and they have the fountains. Actually, the name fountain comes from the French guy, I think it was French, whose last name was the Fountain, like Fontana or something like that. So that's the guy. And and he has a diary of how he was doing in 16th century the waterworks system through the Pompeii. city that's supposedly, you know, like covered with dust already by that time for like 1500 years, 1400 years, and it's there, the waterwork is there, and they just trying to say, oh well, it was covered, but he still went like under the thing even below, and it's impossible because it's like poisonous gases, and it shows that the guy was doing the Pompeii while it wasn't covered by volcano, and they had a volcano eruption in 16th century, and there is even a memorial plate that says that mentions all the victims, all the cities that fell victims to that volcanic explosion eruption, and well, so two of those cities, Pompeii and Herculanum, or the second city that was damaged, from Hercules, derived from Hercules, Herculanum, I think. So it's very obvious that the thing happened not in the 70th year after birth of Christ, but in the 16th century. Actually, the second eruption is the first eruption that buried the city, and it's just millions of examples. Again, they would go to like Greeks and Romans who live, let's say Rome was established in 7th century BC or so, but according to official history. And all the monumental buildings there, like Pantheon and Colosseum, they were built 2,500 years ago in the 5th century before Christ. But they are on the same. If you walk in Rome, all those ancient buildings that are 1,000 years old are on the same level as the modern buildings or as the Middle Age buildings, like the 18th century, whatever, like 16 maybe. They all on the same ground level, because usually when something is old, you gotta dig it up after, especially if it's a city. There is like you know, layers of stuff collecting, but those buildings are exactly in level, and somehow they perfectly, like you look at Pantheon, at the condition of it, or other things. It's the Colosseum. You can have actually photos of Colosseum in 19th century where you see the thing was pretty much still operational, yet they're saying it's 2,500 years old. And those buildings are in pristine condition for that time. You would look at the other ones that are 400 years old, they're completely gone. You know, and Colosseum in many parts is built from regular bricks. And if you look at Roman emperors, like a famous one, Nero, the other guys, at their castles and the stuff that they used to build it from red brick. Just to see all different, a little different sizes that we use today. It was a little more flat and bigger, but it's the same red brick as everything. And you know that thing doesn't last 2,000 years, and they're still standing. And you could see if you remove the first layer of the, you know, they cover it with the white stuff. If you remove the first layer, you're going to see all these bricks, and they're in good condition. They says it wasn't built 2,000 years ago, but just...
So you think Jesus was here about 400
Jesus
years
was
ago?
here not so long ago, according to some calculations, because there are a couple of Russian scientists with they popular online, but the material mostly in Russia. New Earth actually mentions them often, Fomenko and Nosovsky, but there's probably translation. They established the date as he was born, according to us, in 1150. So he died in 1150, and 30 years after we had the Crusades of 1186 or whatever it is. But like Jesus was 850 years ago, and a lot of events. That's the thing. We gotta drag most of the events in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome. We gotta drag all that back towards us. So it was going on in like 10th century, according to our thing, 15th century, and our history that they stretched into 6,000 years. It's actually probably 1,000 years or less.
Right.
So look at all the middle, like Renaissance paintings, Italian guys and whoever. They always have Jesus during their time. Everybody dressed like, you know, it's that they all portray him like it was just happening just recently. Everybody has those the clothes, the buildings, everything.
So,
there's so many indications. I don't even like. I just mentioned the few ones that just like. But there is a million points that history is way shorter, and my theory, which is not so big, like the one I was just talking about, 1,000 years and other chronological issues. The theory that something actually happened like very recently, 200 years ago. So right, like before we photography and everything, some big event that wiped out a whole bunch of people in Europe and buried the cities under the many feet of all that stuff that came with, I guess it's a flood or some other weird catastrophe. And in Europe, actually, they had periods from 13th, as they describe, from 13th century to up to probably 18th. They had plagues. They had like non-stop, very long plague going on and killing a whole bunch of people. So there was definitely a lot of that, but no book and no, in no country is talking about the events that just recently happened. So we gotta really start from scratch and rebuild our knowledge of history. Hey, look, maybe we can invite somebody from the chat. How many people we got? 6 watching now. Anybody wants to join? Just 3 of us.
yeah, no.
Anybody wants to entertain us?
Are you there, you bet? I miss you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm here. I was just actually I was just commenting on another notification. Sorry about that. I was eating my grapefruit too.
Keep your head in the game.
I was listening. I did have a user that was in chat and wanted to get on, but then he said he would try to hop on. Let me see if he's available. His name's Jesus. He was in some of the chats for FETV,
Yeah.
and he said he wanted to talk.
Okay.
Send him a message real quick.
Sure.
What else?
There is the Hangout link if you would like to join our fun.
6 people watching. Okay.
Ugh, that guy Jared commented on one of my videos. I hate saying icon. No, this Gerard guy.
Oh,
I got a challenge for you. I got a challenge. You got to explain this. No, you got to explain this.
Where? Can you?
He's a troll.
Where can I find this challenge?
He's a troll. Not even evil.
I'll explain.
Okay.
I don't care. Oh, with stupidity. All
You
right.
can't find stupid. You just can't.
No, because I have so many, explanations of not like exact 100% proof of the Earth is flat. I don't go with it because it's a little more complicated than just like flatness or roundness.
Exactly, and we'll find the answers.
But I have a lot of,
Feel me? Let's see. Oh.
Zach wants you to say Victor for him.
Wait, what?
Victor. He wants Nico to say.
Yeah, what's up?
Victor.
Victor.
Oh, you can say your piece.
Yeah.
He probably wanted you to say Victor. So I had been learning Russian. I had a friend in Albuquerque who was Russian fluent, and also a friend who spoke Greek. And I wanted to learn both those languages, so I have been studying them. But it is really, really hard. Those two are really hard.
A Russian language, actually, it comes from Sanskrit. And what happens, like in India, they have caste system. So not they do still have some of the Sanskrit left, but it's very transformed. But the original Sanskrit that was used in the first books, I think Rig Veda or whatever, it was 1500 BC. So the book, according to official dating, and again it's wrong of course, it's 3500 years ago that happened, that book. So that book uses old Sanskrit. And the Brahmins, the upper caste, they're specifically all learn that old Sanskrit so they can read that the original religious text that they have, and they kind of keep it secret. The old Gnostics, and they know the secret information. They don't much share it with us. So not really many Indians know much of a Sanskrit, but when some professor who studied Sanskrit from India came to Russia and started traveling through the country, because we have like a country is big, so different regions have different ways of pronunciation. It's pretty big. It's like it's almost drastically changes almost to Ukrainian, like Ukrainian it's very different. So there is many ways of pronunciation. There's one that is in the heart of Russia, in the middle of Russia. He traveled there in the villages. He didn't need a translator because the way they pronounce and how they speak, he pretty much, the old Sanskrit it was like 50% of their, the words that they were using. So he very well understood it. And it's a very complicated language, and we were talking about the numerology and all, and it points that it wasn't only just like the language that we use now and what the God probably did. That language was like a sort of like a matrix type of situation.
Yeah, I see it as sort of like numbers.
Yeah, each word, each thing was like coding for computer, like program, and it had so much meaning. And if the more of the text you get is like three-dimensional, and together with numbers, it gives you a whole. It's like a picture. It's like you're looking at a very complicated painting if you have just a few lines of that language.
How did they ever translate it into a language?
And then because official science doesn't agree with what it's my theory that then, because you have Indo-European languages that then evolved to Latin when they needed to write, because the Latin is very, very simplified. They removed a bunch of letters, and the original Latin language actually derived from Sanskrit, but it's way, way simplified. So pretty much all the languages go from all European, English, French, Italian, Spanish. It all comes from this thing. And I know in Russian, I very well often understand Spanish people, because they use a lot of the words that like Russian is. They usually say no. Russia is just that's how they made language. They took some French words, they took some German, some Latin, some of this, and they put together and made it. But our alphabet is bigger. If you were making like this a language out of everything, you're not gonna have your specific letters and your alphabet. It shows that they actually removed a whole bunch of letters by now, but it's still bigger than Latin alphabet. We have 33 symbols instead of 20 or 26. Yeah.
Oh, 33. I think that's why I had just thought I could, like, or pick it up or whatever it is.
Maybe 33.
There was a lot of words that sounded like Spanish, and I was like, well, it's very similar, and I thought it'd be easy to pick up, but there's so many,
yeah, 33 letters.
Y is the second letter sound. There's like a lot of that, and it's like really hard.
Yeah. It's hard. It's absolutely hard. Plus, we have all these endings. It could be a female object or a male object, and each word with completely the ending. So many. You gotta remember how the word ends, because this is how you catch somebody non-native. They never know how to. They say the right words, but the ending of the word would be not consistent.
Right. Gender. I think that's
gender
where I
thing
stopped.
and the times and genders. It's so complicated.
Yeah, that's where I stopped learning it because I had just learned a whole bunch of phrases, and then they were like, and this is how you would say that phrase to a woman. And I'm like, why don't you just teach us that the first time? I was so frustrated. It was so hard. And but yeah, it's cool when you can like roll off a bunch of words off your tongue. So how do you say the Earth is flat in Russian?
Земля плоская.
Wow.
Земля плоская.
Земля, that's earth. Плоская, that's flat. Плоская земля. Земля плоская. Because earth is a female, земля, the thing is yeah. Because it's, in Spanish they have this, they have like, they call moon, they call luna, and that's what we have, luna, because moon also is a female. Sun is actually, солнце, that's male. I think male. So, anyways, it's like, yeah, me by knowing English and Russian, well, French, they pronounce it funny, and usually it's the pronunciation, but when I see the written text and, hear the person, I understand a lot of what they're usually saying. It helps. But of course it's changed. It's especially in the big cities, and now they try to westernize everything because all the new terms to do with computers, economics, and new world, they usually created in English, and then we just use the English word in Russian. So Russian language in that way is dying. Of course, 100 years ago it was more clear, and this is when you really saw the connection. And besides just the language connection, there is a very deep, because before Christianity, supposedly Russia got Christianity for the past like 1200 years. They got baptized, the whole country, supposedly. But before that, and we still remember some of the things, and in fairy tales for kids and all that stuff, they were pagans. So they had multiple gods and like everything, different gods responsible for different, like whatever, Thor, or you have like Perun, or whatever, like the water gods, lightning gods, and all that story. But in the way they describe it ties with the Hindu, with the whole Hindu religious picture. There's very interesting connections between that. So, but the whole pagan thing was actually so connected because in Europe they just had different names for those tribes. But if you look at the specific how they used to dress, what kind of religion they had, what kind of attributes they had for that, like the symbols and like all the metal, like how women used to dress, all the things to make them pretty, like bracelets and necklaces and all that kind. You see major similarities in the order, especially in the religious order and the understanding and the perception on the whole world. And it was just very, very uniform throughout the whole Africa, Middle East, Asia, Europe, and Russia in between. It was very, very similar tribes, yet they had no internet, no telephone, no roads to connect them. So that comes to me that when actually God, like the saying about Tower of Babel, when he made the languages different. So before that, I guess people were communicating without languages, and there was just instant kind of telepathic connection between everybody. So then God separated them into speaking languages, so they had to verbally talk, and the mostly original language that was closer to that telepathic connection and was still bringing up. It was like a picture, bringing up the whole picture as it spoke. It was very, like you have a small text, but it has so much meaning. Each letter has it's like each letter is like a book. And the combinations of letter would give you almost unlimited amount of information, and the closest to that state of telepathic connection, I think, was this original Sanskrit language. At least it's my theory. I researched into linguistics and all that, and that's what I came up with. So yeah.
Certainly a lot of information. I don't even know where English came from. England, that's all I know. Definitely find the topic very interesting, especially how there's so much, similarities between the languages. I like to do the same thing with the Latin-based languages, trying to figure out like what they're saying, or if I can sort of decipher it based on, because I also take French and Italian, and so that helps.
Mexican. Can you speak Mexican?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, because I actually, because it was my first language, but I mean, I haven't really spoken it in a long time. And I spent a month in Mexico last summer, and I felt so disconnected because I mean, everything that I've done in my adult life has been revolving around computers, or working at the labs with radiation, a lot of technical stuff, just words. I have no idea what those words are in Spanish. Never learned them. And it's like, my family would ask me, like, well, what do you do? And they would want help on the computer, and I couldn't say anything. I was just like, I don't even know how to say, like, double click this icon, this folder on your desktop, like completely just a new language. It's like I have to learn how to speak it over again. And they were laughing at me. They thought it was
Check this out.
Holy moly.
When I was doing a lot of sales, I would come across people that were like Chinese and stuff and barely spoke English, but we were able to communicate still somehow and sign paperwork and everything. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Just look at people in the face, like so much more is conveyed with intention and body gestures and facial expressions. That's really where most of the communication comes from.
Of course.
That's why so many people have such a hard time with like chatting and communicating online. And like I've always tried my best to just be super clear. I'll use as many smileys as I have to, or like little gestures, like this is what I'm doing, and as I say this or whatever, just because it makes it more visual for the person than reading something could come out like sounding rude or terse, and it's like, no, I'm just saying it because I'm pretty direct anyway, but I've had to learn how to communicate online, so that's probably my best medium, which is not a bad skill to have in today's day and age. But do you speak any languages, Ace? Any other languages? Ace? Hello? Earth Addicts.
About languages, I also I had a lot of different jobs as an immigrant before. Like now I don't work, but before I did all kinds of jobs, and especially sales. And everywhere I go, whenever I encounter anybody from different country, I try to learn a couple of words and a little bit about their culture, because to me it's so fascinating. How it is. Any culture I research into it is so deep. It's so much connection between South America is it's just an amazing place. How much history they have and how much it was erased, but they still got so much megaliths. It speaks volumes of what was really going on here. And it's just every culture you can learn so much if you just patient, and instead of like so many people are racist, they shut down in this way. And I think it's probably for protection and all, like for preservation instinct, but still I have so much respect for any different culture than mine to learn from them, and they're great. Yeah.
I agree. And I've never even traveled to Europe. I really, really want to. I hope I get to before I die. But that's definitely on my bucket list. I don't think I've actually been off this continent, except when I swam in the ocean. Definitely. And I've wanted to go to Russia too, so.
Oh, you don't want to. Most of the country is so cold, you're not, especially after living in New Mexico, you're not gonna like it. It's freezing. Now it's global warming and it's a little bit, some winters are better, but it gets so freezing cold. It's especially the city where I was born, Moscow, St. Petersburg.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go, like St. Petersburg.
Maybe see if you want to go St. Petersburg, it's probably the most beautiful city if you don't count Italy itself, because Italy is also beautiful. But this is the second, and in some ways it's more beautiful. It's all there, and it's all granite, not some sandstone. It's marble. It's so. The old buildings, the museums, it's condensed. It's like the Italy is big. If you take everything everywhere in Italy, they have a lot. But as one city, well, Vatican and Rome, of course, nice too. But still, St. Petersburg is very, very good in that way. And the only time I would recommend to visit in summer, they have a period. It's called White Nights, and northern countries get that, where it doesn't get dark at night. It's like evening, like there is no sun, but it's still, it doesn't get really dark. So everybody's out all night, and at the same time they have a lot of rivers and like a lot of channels and the main river and a lot of bridges. And some of those huge bridges, they actually open up to let the other ships pass for a couple hours, and everybody is always outside in the central part of the city, walking around all night and watching the bridges open and close. Well, it doesn't get dark. It's like all the tourists come in this time. It's a special time of a year or so. If you want to travel St. Petersburg, that would be. I think it's in June. You gotta look. It's called White Nights. So you type White Nights in St. Petersburg, and you'll see it sometime in June, I think. I already don't even remember. But if you like architecture and like all that stuff, it's wow. I want to go back to my city because I never really understood the value of all that stuff. I used to hang out right at the Central Park, sitting on those steps all the time. The biggest column right there, the 600-ton granite one. I used to sit right like on it all the time, hanging out, drinking, having fun. And in school, they would always take us to museums, so I was familiar with the thing. But I thought it was like, okay, it's normal, but now I realize how much value, how interesting that is from a historical, architectural perspective. None of that, unfortunately, here in New York. You go to museum, it's more of a roller, like Walt Disney story, not the way that it is there.
Right.
The Hermitage Museum is just amazing what they have. They have all the if you see how it's built from very hard stone, just the building, just the way they used to work with the stone and those huge vases, you're gonna understand that those people who just recently supposedly built all that, they had absolutely different, superior technology to us. He was luck to the royal families, I guess, but it's absolutely superior. We cannot repeat what how well they worked with the stone. Another very good example, because St. Petersburg is a northern city. It's Baltic. It's right there next to Baltic, so it's very cold, as I said. But let's say the Hermitage and the other castles that the Tsars used to live at in 18th century, 19th century, they actually not built for this temperature. Because it gets minus 30 Celsius. I'll check how much in Fahrenheit. Really cold, and they have huge windows, balconies, and one.
Did you just say minus 30?
Minus 30 Celsius, like 0 Celsius is where the water freezes. Minus 30. Very cold. Minus, even worse, it gets to minus 40.
Yeah.
It's like North Pole, really. So, and the old buildings that are magnificent, they're huge, but the size of the windows tells you that they weren't built for this kind of environment because it gets really cold. Another indicator, they do not have any heating system. Those huge buildings, they had zero heating. We used to have, what is it?
What kind of heating system would they used to have?
They later on, as the royal families moved in there, and they were supposedly building it according to official history, but what we understand from really looking at that, they were cleaning it up and renovating after the major event. And what they did is they built in those, what do they call, like a walled fireplace type of story. How is it called? The fireplace? Yeah, basically the fireplaces, but they weren't inside the walls. They were external because they couldn't, change the thing, So they built an external, a bunch of fireplaces that were in every other room, and they weren't heating up anything actually. If only you round it next to it, you would get some heat. So it's obvious.
That reminds me of like the Roman buildings.
Oh yeah, they absolutely Roman. This is exactly same architecture as one same thing.
Some of them would have like giant fire pits like underground in like the basement, and it would heat water, and that water would circulate throughout the building. Have you ever seen that?
Fire pits?
Like a room with a bunch of fire, and they would heat up water, and it would the steam would circulate throughout the building.
Oh,
kind of like
that thing.
Yeah, it's like crude central heat.
Yeah, well, I was reading something about that, but not so much. I'm gonna research actually into this. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Have you found any good new flat Earth stuff?
Flat Earth?
I was actually, I was listening to Mark Sargent's show today while I was at work because it was the only, radio show to listen to, and I used to listen to him. Well, Jonathan wasn't on for some reason. He says he's like real busy these days. But he was reading emails, and man, there's like a couple really, really good points that people brought up in like good experiments. I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to it and write them down, but
yeah, that's what I actually don't see. I look through videos. There are hundreds of videos, but there's no substance to it. There's no science, and like I'm tired of catching shields and cursing everyone out. I need some real thing. Yeah, I didn't
exactly.
News
if you put out the content and provide proofs and stuff, and all of our earlier shows, man, we went down the gauntlet of flat Earth proofs. It's kind of hard to do that just day in and day out because you're like repeating yourself. I mean, and all this talk about expeditions and stuff like that, it's unnecessary. You don't need all that to prove to yourself that the Earth is flat. Once you know. And where do you go from there? It's learning all the other truths, and what else have they lied to us about? There's
so much more in this.
You have to think back to why did they say it was a globe? It wasn't just they said it was a globe. No, it's a full-blown psychological attack against us. It's the globe. It's the put your kids into school and we'll take care of them, and that's some strong programming to get a mom to give her kid away. Now that I think about it, I couldn't imagine being a mom on the first day of kindergarten.
Oh yeah, my mom had a.
Like, jeez, man. I want to research that. I need to know how that came about and how they tricked us into giving away custody of our kids. and thinking that they could
With
raise
feminism, we
them better.
already spoke about that. They did a fake
Feminism?
propaganda for because women
I
they had
know.
no rights for voting, so they said that we
It's,
want to make women equal, empower them, and they
Right, that
broke the
wasn't
family.
but I want to know I want to know all the details and what we can do to reverse it.
Like Rockefellers did that. Actually, it's the same thing as they doing now with the Black Lives Matter type. It's always covered by freedom with good intentions. It was
Yeah.
supposedly you would listen to, yeah, it sounds good, but at the same time there's a sinister, real plan that they implementing, and that was to destroy the family. Like absolutely everything goes. And that's terrible because really, I feel bad for women because women are stuck with their kids all the time. They don't give them to,
Okay.
father. They have to.
Well, here's the deal. Like where I'm going with this. Would a woman, a typical mom, she's probably on Facebook and stuff. You tell her about flat Earth, and she's like, I don't want to hear about it, right? But if you told her about, hey, what made you think that, it'd be better for you to give your kid away to another person to be raised? Dude, does a bird give their chick away to learn how to fly from someone else, or a shark to have their baby learn how to hunt? No. Don't you think that's kind of weird that we do that? Don't you think you know best for your kid?
Absolutely.
And then you can hit them with the globe and all
But
the lies.
you don't have the
At that.
ability to do that. As soon as your kid doesn't visit school, the social services are gonna come and take it away. It's so easy for them to
No.
really take away your kid.
I'm
In
not.
some places here, you smoke a joint and lose your kids.
I'm not telling them to take their kid out of school, but to raise awareness. If enough people are fucking pissed, no.
Again, you're gonna have your kid in school asking questions like I did during because I've really understood how wrong they were during my education. At some point when I went to this special school, I had that understanding, and then I started looking at everything from the perspective where they're wrong, where's a mistake, where it doesn't fit. And that's a big that's not a path in life you want to take. It's a rejection. It's not you're not gonna prosper and get good education, and the whole thing they're gonna segregate you.
this rejection of it. And it's not just that, they're going to come and take your kid away. I mean, you can homeschool your children. And it hasn't been mentioned, but you get enough people in your community.
You're breaking up. Hey, can you? I don't know why your
Yeah.
sound is
Like
floating.
community homeschools, like small little groups, like church groups almost.
Exactly. I mean, it could even just be family members, siblings, cousins.
You got something wrong with your sound.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I can kind of understand you, but that's a good idea, like homeschool. But the point is to get people mad and really thinking, like, man, we are going against nature. Everything we do goes against nature. It's fucked up. Everything.
Well, it definitely is. It's gotten to the point where it's like I've seen people and I have friends who have children who are just about between 3 and 5, 3 and 6, and it's like that's when they display the most behavioral problems. And it's like, of course, because they're being separated from you every single day and put in a situation they don't want to be in.
Yeah, and they're not going to respect you.
Yeah, and so when they come home, they're throwing tantrums, crying, flipping out, it's like huge signs. What disturbs me.
Try your mic. Your mic.
Yeah, I get in it.
No, dude. Something. Do something with it. It's bad. Hello.
Oh no.
Shit.
Okay.
Now it is.
You hear me?
Yes.
To me, you're kind of often
Are you
breaking up.
far away from your Wi-Fi or something?
No, not at all. Even
Yeah, it's like sometimes you're speaking from the bucket of water.
I haven't moved. I've just
Damn.
Jeff's in the chat.
Oh yeah. What's he talking about?
What's up, y'all? Hey, Jeff.
Nothing, Jeff.
Yeah. Yo.
You were on this show. My mic would like not work. Just kidding.
Yeah. We're just talking about how fucked up it is that we send our kids away. No animal in nature would do that. They wouldn't let someone else raise their kid.
Oh, there's weird stuff going on. A cuckoo bird, comes and leaves her egg, and then some other bird's thing, and then that
Oh yeah.
little cuckoo throws out all the other eggs. It's very funny how they do it. They're so smart. And yeah, they keep feeding, and they often outgrow the bird like 3 times. And there's this huge cuckoo sitting in a little nest, and mother bird keeps on flying and feeding it, which is like.
And we call it the cuckoo bird for a reason.
Yeah, the nature has a lot of different examples actually, which we can, copy as well.
Wow.
So it's not really like we have all that situation built in. We're flexible. We can change, and animals too. They can change their.
Well,
pattern.
we're being bred to become worker drone bees. I mean, that's all there is
Bees are
to
good.
it.
There is a good saying: don't be like a fly who sits on the shit, all day long, but be like a bee, because what a bee does, it flies, it helps the flower have sex and produce kids, and by that it collects the best thing, the honey, the most pure golden substance, and pollinates everything. Without bees, so many trees and plants and everything would die. They have no way to pollinate. Bees are amazing. I wish we were bees. No.
If
They're
all the
making us
bees
into
went away,
flies.
we would die.
Yeah, they're making us into flies.
Yeah.
Shit. Well, not that bad. But.
Oh, it's bad, man. It gets everyone thinking the same way, and like not the same values you would probably want to raise your kid with if you had a choice.
Right.
This is a new thing. This kidnapping with consent, basically, to go to a factory to learn how to please the queen. We work till we die, just like a drone bee, while the very elite sit at the top and just pull strings. That's fucked up. And we could all be living in a utopia if we would all just snap out of it. If we would see that the earth is flat. It has actually nothing to do with that, but it's part of it. It's just one part of the web of lies to just fuck with our mind, man. They're fucking with it hardcore for a mom to give her kid at kindergarten, like I said, kicking and screaming their kid doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
But you have to.
In this
That's trauma. That's trauma.
Situation, when you're not happy with the external world and you want to change it, I understand that we are very much dependent on the external system and other people and people around us and everything, but at the same time we gotta know we never can be 100% sure that we're gonna influence the whole world and change the whole world around us, and for that matter it might not even ever change and even become worse. So the only exit, because this is uncomfortable feeling, you see it's unjust, you see something not right happening. So the only way we can really deal with it is to go within ourselves and get comfortable with situation the way that it is. That our best hope to, get some peace, and settle with something good. Otherwise, like of course, we gotta always try to do the right thing, but at the same time, we may never get satisfied with that. So, like for ourselves, for the peace of mind, we gotta work on our own perception of things and try to work out the perception that doesn't stress us out so much. To notice the good stuff around us. I mean, what happened to Yvette? We lost her.
Oh, she dropped out, huh?
Rod 6 watching.
What's right? Is there anything in the chat that people were asking, or?
I wasn't checking. I'm trying to set up so I have my speakers through the Bluetooth so I can walk around. I haven't tried that.
I tried that once and it was a nightmare because we were already live and and they couldn't hear me and back and forth. Yeah. Computers. But it's crazy, man. Crazy world we live in. Yeah, man, I want to do an experiment. I want to get a kite. Did you hear this idea?
A what? A kite?
Yeah, one of them kites that designed to fly really high. And just put a camera on it and just look, I think that'd be fun. And you can get them up there, man, like thousands of feet.
You're not gonna see anything, different than a flat.
Well, you're thinking outside. You're not thinking outside the box. I want to do it at sunrise time, and try to see if maybe I can see the moon or something that I'm not supposed to see. Wait for, things like that, or at nighttime, fly the kite up there and see if I can see the sun again. Because a couple thousand feet is nothing compared to the curve of the Earth. So if it puts the sun back into perspective, then we know it just went out farther and not around the curve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because that high altitude rocket was seeing a crescent moon in that one dog cam video.
Mm-hmm.
That moon was halfway around the world. And now I personally have seen a full moon at between 8 and 9:30 in the morning. And when I checked time and weather a month later, it said that moon was supposed to be over Australia. So already from the ground, I'm seeing things that should be, halfway around the world, basically.
Yeah. But it's more. No, well, okay, yeah. But how are you gonna have a kite flying so high up, so far up?
You just get enough string and they'll go that high.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to Jeff. Okay. Maybe that's why I just thought of that.
So when Jeff, he has a know-how, I guess, of kites, because I cannot even imagine how to do that.
Oh yeah, you look it up. There's people flying them 3,000-4,000 feet up, and you can actually tie multiple kites together. But I just want to do it, just to fly it on certain days. Just see what I see,
I see. I just typed online, and I see a latex weather balloon costs $20. The more expensive one costs $170. So they up to from $50 to $200 can have a pretty good balloon. And send that thing up and do some measurements. But it's one time they explode, I think. That's one time thing. Now that we don't have anybody by Chicago, because it would be so good to go around the lake and do the specific measurements of that thing. That would be very important, because.
And how would you measure it?
No, we just, what we need to measure is how much the skyscrapers drop with the distance. And better to compare the same thing, how they drop with the distance in a different weather condition on different days when it's better visible low, so we can see how much exactly, because there is like all these boats disappear. The horizon thing, it's a very funny effect that makes things disappear behind it, and it creates this like a line of mirage between ground and sky, or water and sky. So if we get exactly the physics of that process, it would be very helpful compared to the globe situation. You're gonna lose things after 5 miles already. They're gonna be.
I'm working on a job site, and I've been talking to this guy. He's a surveyor, and he's got I've seen 2 different devices for surveying. He's got like one that's fucking like a big square computer type one, and then he's got a one with a lens, kind of like a little mono telescope. And then they also have a stick with a GPS sensor on it. I almost wonder if one day he'd be interested in measuring shit. I'm trying to warm him up, like just talking about the moon one day. He's kind of already like, yeah, I've heard the moon landings are fake and da-da-da. Man, you really got to warm people up when you're talking to them, if you're trying to, about flat Earth. Because I can already tell if I just straight up told him flat Earth, he would be like, oh no. I got to warm him up, then say, man, I heard this crazy thing, like that people can't find the curve of the Earth. It's supposed to be, what is it again, dude? And he'll be like, fuck, I don't know. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, well, let me look it up. Oh, 8 inches per mile squared. So, okay, a couple miles, it should be a few feet. Let's measure it with your stick. That'll work, if he'll do it.
Well, they use this theodolite. What is it called? Theodolite.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but all this ground-based equipment is based on leveling it up. So you can never see if there would be curvature, you would never see it because it would adjust always to. If you like, you can do a long stretch. They do like some miles. I don't know, 2 miles probably stretches, and then you put them all together like stripes and stripes of information. You put this together, and if the Earth would be a globe and he would be adding those stretches, he would always be leveled, so he wouldn't see anything but a level surface in any situation with the ground-based equipment.
What?
It's always gonna, it's anywhere you put it, you stand it and it levels according to gravity, according to the bubble or whatever.
Right.
And so the way to really
I'm talking about height, like height differences.
Yeah, but it only measures like 2-3 miles away. I think I was looking at those equipments, like how, and their accuracy is also pretty low for what we need to measure, because Earth changes 1 degree in 69 miles. So the curvature is actually only like, you gotta go 7, if you see a 70-mile stretch in front of you, and that's pretty big stretch. The thing, if there is a globe, if we're in a globe, the thing is gonna curve only 1 degree. Out of, instead of 90-degree building, that's gonna be 89-degree, bent backwards or whatever to this, So I'm not sure if we could catch it with that accuracy if we're just measuring the straightness according to surveying equipment. Oh, what happened to Yvette? Did she get upset that I interrupt her so many times? I'm sorry, Yvette. I'm just like, I'm terrible because I do this stuff all the time.
No, you're all right, man.
I'm gonna mute myself. Come back. I'm gonna mute myself, and you tell us your information about birth and trauma.
Yes, I do want to hear that.
Yeah, can you come back? Is she here?
I'll tell you, they they do it all wrong, unnatural in a hospital, which is dirty anyways, and they're laying on your back. You know, you're supposed to squat down, poop it out, basically.
What, the kid when you're giving
Yeah.
birth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's, you know, it's a pretty violent process, and it leads to mental scarring. You know, I heard a couple things about it, but I'd rather her talk about it since, you know, she's got the information.
What's
But
up, people?
Hey, what's up?
I just joined. I joined through Yvette,
Yeah.
I guess. So what are y'all talking about? Random things.
Shit, flat Earth.
Cool.
You know, and other things, but like we're talking about numerology, vibrations, and what else? Shit, hell, a lot of things, man. You know, God,
Oh, really?
Kundalini shit, spiritual awakening, stuff like that. Yeah, man. So you're flat earther?
All right, cool.
Are you a flat earther?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. How long you been in the club, or I should say cult? Just kidding.
I saw it on Hangouts, and I just started, I guess, watching it, and I got into it.
That's what yeah, this is just like, I don't know, we're just kind of hanging out talking like we would off air, you know. This wasn't like a planned thing with the script or anything, but some of our other shows are a little more deep, a little more exciting. So
All right.
if you even thought this was exciting at all, which I think it was not in any way, but you know, some of those stuff's better.
Yeah, like the first, I guess the first video I saw about you guys, it was pretty interesting. You guys were talking about the universe and just random talks about the universe and like how it all got formed and whatnot. It's pretty interesting and I guess educational, which is what I liked about it.
There you go, man. Yeah, that's the weird thing about, you know, being into the flat earth. You gotta learn the other model better than the people that think it's a globe. You know, like the whole Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
You know, just in itself, it's such a fantasy, man, if you really think about it.
There's a lot of things that you just can't explain, you know, like they say even with all the technology we've got and the way we
No.
look at space, we've only seen about 5% of space. There's still a whole 95% that we haven't even seen.
Yeah, but the way they talk to us is like it's fact. It's like set in stone fact. Like there's a Big Bang, exploded, galaxies formed, you know?
That's true because over time there's always been like everybody's got one thing saying it's this and this and this. This is the way it is. This is the way it is, and then
Well,
somebody else comes along and proves that person wrong and realizes it's
yes.
this way.
Thank you.
And after that, somebody else come along and proves that guy wrong. It's just one of those things where I guess you never stop learning and you never stop realizing what's around you. You just
Well,
keep learning more and more.
yeah, they proved Einstein's relativity wrong like 1 or 2 years after it came out.
Yep.
Maybe sooner than that, but yeah, that's the thing. And when you prove somebody wrong, or you got an idea to prove someone wrong, in the science community, you basically have to wait for the generation that believes the wrong thing to die, and then you kind of get higher up, and finally it changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or just like hit them with like hard proof that they just can't, can't look past that. They can't.
Well, true, but nowadays it's all into the theoretical realms,
That's true.
so there ain't no fucking like the globe. It took years and years for that to kick in. They had to wait for generations of people to die. They had to indoctrinate the kids. Those kids grew up, had kids. Those kids, you know. So it's like 3 generations later, now everyone finally believes that it's a globe. You know what I mean? Like, they have no problem waiting. Like us, we're impatient because we're worried about our single lifetime. These people, man, and it's really tied to Satan, but these people, they don't mind waiting 500 years for a scheme to take place.
Well, one of the things is too that we don't even realize we're being completely brainwashed with everyday things. Like when you turn on the TV, the
No,
commercials you see each and every day, and when you're on YouTube, the commercials that you see that go through each and every one video, each and
yeah,
every video that you watch, and the things that are on the newspaper, and the things that are just on random, and even the music. As certain things, we're just being completely brainwashed to think or
there you
believe
go.
in a certain
The
way.
the music, they changed the frequency, the overall tone. It used to be 432, like Mozart type shit,
Yeah,
and they changed it to like, I don't know, like say 450. And you know how sound makes patterns? Have you
yeah.
ever seen that? Like you put dust on like a speaker and it,
Frequency waves or whatnot.
yeah. So 432 is like a beautiful pattern, but the wave they changed it to is like an ugly mess. How much of the show did you listen to?
Well, I just seen like maybe 2 or 3
Oh,
videos. I just
okay.
want to have time. I just got a lot of things
I
going
got
on
you.
too.
So earlier you were talking about brainwashing. This is
Oh
how
yeah.
deep this brainwashing goes. It's not just the globe, and flat Earth, but think about like a bird. It builds a nest. It takes like 2 days to build it. It's done. You got a nest for a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
It has babies. It teaches the baby how to fly and catch worms and stuff. Now humans, we build a house. It takes 20 years to pay it off. So basically, it's like we're working 20 years for this house, right?
Yeah.
Slaving. And then when our baby turns like 4 or 5 years old, we hand it off to somebody else to raise it. What the fuck is that?
It's like a never-ending cycle.
How did they brainwash us bad enough that a mom is gonna let her baby out of her sight to be raised by somebody else? Where in nature is a bird gonna give its baby bird to another one to teach it how to fly? Hell no.
That's true.
That's and then these kids go to schools. They're like factories, and they pump them full of fucking crazy ideas, and they all become like the same. They think the same. They don't ask questions. None of that. And when they get out of school, they're like part of the society. But is that really a good thing? What if everyone just raised their own kids just
Well,
however
what you're
they
saying right
want?
there, what you just said there is a good point about school because each and every kid has a special way of learning. Not everybody learns the same way. And that's where you get, I guess, certain kids where they excel and they're really smart and some are looked at as not smart, I guess below average. The thing is that teacher taught a certain way or a certain lesson plan that she was told to teach. And I believe that each and every kid just learns in a different way or just obtains knowledge or absorbs knowledge in a different way than not each and every kid does learns the same way.
Well, here's the worst part about school. It's not just the knowledge they're getting, it's the psychological operation to teach them not to question authority. Don't even ask questions, basically. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
I guess to
all
be
them,
submissive. That's what you're trying to say.
yeah, yeah, don't question authority. Like, don't think critically, only think logically. Don't use your, like, intuition or, like, emotions to kind of, like, guess answers or whatever. Basically, do not think critically. The kids don't think critically. They only think logically and memorization. But so years of just thinking like that, you lose your ability to have common sense. and like think critically. You know what I mean? So what they're doing is the elites at the top, we are slaves, okay? And they got it to where we give our kids away to be taught to become better slaves. I mean, it boils down to that.
That's true. But I think part of the thing is too that the way society is and the way that it always shows you, oh, get this brand new car or get this brand new truck or look
Yes.
at this latest fashion of this shirt that's $100 and it just looks just the same as the shirt that was on like a year ago. You know, it just recycles itself and make you spend more money on clothes or cars, or if not, you gotta look a certain way or just feel a certain way or whatnot. And it puts you in this, I guess, societal box to where you keep spending, or just cycle where you keep spending money, not able to save, or not able to just progress in life in a way where you just keep feeding the corporations or just billionaires that can pretty much buy the freaking government itself, you know, where it's not that can buy the newspaper or the articles that are being printed or the commercials that are shown on air, if not on the TV or the
Consumer whoreism.
yeah, it's insane.
And then you got the TV itself, which flashes lights at you. There's people in an office building or a lab. There's all these scientists. This is what our real scientists do. They come up with bullshit like, man, if we flash the screen at 60 flashes a second, it'll put them in a hypnotic state. You know, like they tested all of that shit. They test what makes, kids nag their parents for products and stuff. Well, back to the TV. So it flashes at 60, and then you got mnemonic programming, which is all these spinning circles and shit, usually in front of news broadcast. Like the news is one of the biggest ways that they program you. But look at the pictures of like kids watching TV. Their jaw is open, like
Is that blank stare?
yeah, because it changes your brain state to an alpha wave, and that's like a trance state, and that's the state that's the best for learning. So really, they're in the best learning state when they're staring at a TV, not in
Yeah,
school.
that deep state of learning.
Yeah, and you could talk to somebody and they just like don't hear you. Especially kids, they don't have these filters. But like you put a TV on in front of a baby, like a 1 or 2 year old that just learned how to walk, it'll always walk to the TV, and it'll like put its hands on it and like just try to go inside it, like
Like
it's
that
like
one movie,
it's like call me, yeah.
Portuguese or something it's called. I think it's Portuguese or something like that.
I don't know. I'm sure it's in a movie. Yeah.
But no, even like if you go into a HEB or a Walmart or whatnot, like the
Where do
main
you live?
things,
Texas?
huh?
You live in Texas or
Yeah,
what?
this is
Houston?
no walks ahead. She's a little south of Dallas, small town.
Oh, yeah. HEB is only a Texas thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Texas.
Oh, for real? That's what's up. Where you from?
Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
That's about 3 hours away.
Yeah. Now I live in Colorado though.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, 33 years in Houston, man. Sugarland actually,
Oh,
which
sweet.
is it might as well be Houston. It's that close.
Yeah, the same thing. Like I'm a little south of Dallas, about 15, 20 minutes drive. But yeah, like I was saying, man, like if you go into a HEB or Walmart, the things you really need, like eggs or milk, it's always going to be at the back of the store. They will make you pass like all this candy and all these chips and all these things that you would probably buy on
Hmm.
impulse and then you really don't need. You know, it's all like just I don't know, just for them to get money.
That store is a giant psychological operation against your mind. Like it is, they, it's waging war. I mean, they have the best, especially Walmart, paid the best, psychologists, and you know what I mean, like specialists in advertising to like
Yeah.
what will make, and they're thinking about like what they're trying to force you to do something, you know, against your will. You're like, I just want to buy milk. And they're like, how can we get this sucker to buy a bag of fucking chips? You know, they'll spend millions. There's people that probably write their thesis paper on how to get somebody to buy a bag of chips in a Walmart. Guaranteed. Someone's a doctor and then got a thesis
Yeah,
about
somebody.
just
People pretty much dedicate their lives to make money off of that. You know, just to get make the company more money. Well, it's really what it boils down to, just make more money.
yeah. Well, yeah. I have to go to bed soon.
All right.
But we can talk for another minute.
I don't even know what to talk about, man, by myself.
What's that?
I don't know what to talk about by myself.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you get off, I'm probably gonna get off too. Unless anybody else joins.
Shit, I can leave it running.
Nah, it's cool, man. I probably need to go to bed too. I gotta wake up early tomorrow. I was
Yeah,
gonna get up earlier. I was gonna get on here earlier, but I had some stuff to do.
No, it's all good.
It got late.
I mean, we do this pretty much daily now. So
All right.
we had a FETV channel. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, dude, it's 8 hours a day.
So it worked.
And we had like this counterintelligence dude. He was a badass, man. Like Navy SEAL trained and everything. And we like, you know, made sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like looked into it. He had so much information. I mean, tons and tons of like unique information about like rockets, how they don't go over 89 miles, you know, just different stuff like NASA's own information we could use against them. And but yeah, the channel got taken down on the Super Bowl, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of our panelists accidentally, you know, we just weren't thinking, and streamed, like had the Super Bowl stream in their icon, right?
Oh, okay.
And it would like flash up on the screen here and there. It's like a minute later, dude, one of the trolls was like making like threats like, oh y'all, like I'm gonna fucking, you know, whatever, copyright you, blah blah blah. And like a minute later, it's like copyright strike, bitch. And like a second after I read that comment, like boom, channel's down for a copyright violation.
It sucks.
You know what I mean? So, you know, like there wouldn't.
People take those things pretty seriously too. I guess major companies are trying to make money off of it.
I know. I don't know what you got to do to be able to. What the fair use is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is the fair use? Because if you're talking over it and stuff, I guess, you know, that one. I want to know for the future. Like I don't care about that. Even if it was fair use, I wouldn't risk it on a game like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty major game.
And had I not been just lollygagging around on my phone, like in the garage, you know what I mean? Because on your phone, you can't kick people out of the chat.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I've never used it on phone.
Or tell people. But, you know, just not thinking, and it sucks. But, yeah, it was picking up steam, man. There's a lot of people that watched it, and they were there all 8 hours. And we would have the chat open before the show, and people be in the chat, just chatting away all day and stuff. That's the thing, man, with the flat earth stuff. People need a place to go to, like, talk to someone that's actually a flat earther, because you don't usually meet people in real life, you know?
There are flat earth people?
Yeah, are you a flat earth person?
Well, honestly, like, I'm doing research on it, just really trying to understand it, what is the theology about it.
Yeah.
Y'all's belief. I'm just trying to, I guess, figure out more. You know, I'm into, like, not necessarily believe in one thing, but
Well, how'd you hear
mainly,
about it?
I just ran into it on. I was just looking on Hangouts, and one day I just clicked on it. It was
When
pretty random.
Hangouts, or you mean YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube on Hangouts on YouTube. I went on there and I just started looking at different channels, and I ran into yours, and it was pretty. I guess it was pretty interesting to me. So
Okay.
that's why I started
Well, I
looking
mean,
at it.
I've been, you know, uh, I decided about a year ago that we're not on a spinning globe. That's out of the question. At least.
And what made you like completely go into something that say, oh, well, you know what, we're not in a globe, we're in a flat Earth? What made you do the switch?
Shit, man. I used to be a photographer. I mean, I still am. I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah,
But when I was a lot younger, I took uh, images. I was trying to take a real long shutter speed shot of the Big Dipper, like over an hour shutter
yeah,
speed. And all of a sudden, I noticed there's one star in the middle that didn't move on the picture. It was just there the whole time. And the other stars spun in a circle. Okay.
yeah,
That's from Houston. Now, I didn't think about it then. And I didn't even know what Polaris was. I looked it up and I found out it was a North Star. Anyways,
uh,
so last year when I decided, I saw Matt Boylan's videos and then my perspective and Eric Dubay. And those videos just sealed the deal for me. I mean, I didn't have to do anything else, but I wanted to test it out myself. So
yeah,
I'm thinking back on those star trails. If you're on the ball and you're spinning, you're not going to get a circle in the sky. You feel me?
hmm,
You're going to get like arcs or lines going sideways because you're spinning. Now, if you're at the North Pole looking straight up, yes, you would see him spinning like a circle, okay?
hmm,
But in Houston, you're not going to get a circle. The only way to get a circle is if the sky is spinning and you're standing still. I mean, does that make sense?
yeah,
Okay, that's one. Another is I did a test over 9.5 miles of water in a reservoir.
yeah.
I'm on one side, I got a friend on the other side, and he's flashing a mirror across the water.
Okay.
He's reflecting the sun across the water at different heights, and finally we're like both on our hands and knees reflecting this light across the water, and you can see it perfect. You just see bling bling bling.
Yeah,
So I was like, okay, there should be like 30 feet of curve,
yeah,
none. And then just all the videos of people zooming in on like cities that should be 60, 80 miles away, islands that should be 150 miles away. Like we're talking miles of curve at this point.
yeah.
Also, you got the balloon footage that goes to like 130,000 feet. There's no curve. You got a rocket that goes 160 miles with no curve. And it sees the moon that's in Australia. So, you got all these things that add up. And none of them would be consistent with what they taught us.
All right. Well, I got a question for you guys. Or you like,
Sure.
if
Yeah.
this Earth is flat, so does that mean there's no end to it, or is there an end to where if you go just far enough, you'll fall off?
I mean, that's what. Oh, shit. You've never seen the model?
No. Well, I'm looking up.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
flat Earth society thing, and it's a
Holy
circle,
shit.
right? It's like a
Yeah.
flat circle.
Do not mess with the Flat Earth Society. They're a
Oh,
sign
okay.
to confuse you and spread rumors that aren't true. Look, this movement has so many shilly people like feeding out disinfo and hate,
Okay.
like hate. And you're onto something when people are taking that much of an effort just to make it look bad and stop it. But here, type this in or whatever,
Right.
save this. My perspective.
Right.
Perspective. Okay.
Right.
That's where you kind of want to start. And then Eric Dubay.
Dubay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I found them.
Those two should pretty much do it for you. My perspective is great for beginners because he does a little bit of computer graphics where he can visualize for you what it should look like. Shit, man. So the model of the Earth is it's just a disc like a frisbee.
Yeah.
At least where we live, Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
And the waters are around the outside is ice, like up to 2 miles high. That's Antarctica, the coast of Antarctica.
Yeah.
Antarctica's not an island on the bottom of the ball. It's actually a ring of ice. Okay. The sun spins in a circle above our head, going around the North Star, right? It spins in a circle. So that sun is obviously got heat. Well, towards Antarctica, it's so far away. I mean, obviously it's going to be cold. So past this ring of ice, you can get up on the ice. That'd be like stepping on Antarctica, and they claim they do too, and they have. Well, the further out you go, the further you're getting away from the sun, like forever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how far that goes. That's where there's two theories of maybe there's some kind of dome like the Bible says, right?
Yeah.
Firmament. Or maybe it goes on a really long time, or maybe it goes on forever. Maybe there's other little puddles like ours.
And what's your guys' take on the Bermuda Triangle?
Oh, man, Robert did a whole presentation on that.
Oh.
That shit's real. There's a Bermuda Triangle and there's another one that's just like it. But I can't remember exactly how he... Damn, dude.
Do you know the video? Like the name of the video?
Yeah, it was on the Flutter TV site. Those videos are down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It might be back. I mean, why? What's your take?
Oh, on the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I believe in the there's certain theories on it, but I think I believe on the one there's just a lot of magnets or some sort of magnet field going on under the ocean. And if you drive a compass through it, you're pretty much just going around in circles. Because your compass is just going to screw up regardless. If there's a magnet on you, it's going to keep going in circles. So you're going to be lost. And if you're lost, let's say if you're lost in the jungle, you start walking. If either you're left-handed or right-handed, you're going to keep going in a circle to the right way. You're going to keep going in a circle to the left. If you're completely lost and don't have a compass on you, you don't go around. You will walk in circles. And I think that's what's happening on boats. People are either left-handed or right-handed. They're going around in circles, and they either get lost or sink, or if they're on a plane, I guess, crash.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Like North Pole, like the North Pole and the South, like Antarctic, they're off limits. A pedestrian, you just can't go there. And think about it. No one's ever... Okay, here's another one. There's been plenty of people that have circumnavigated the globe, right?
Yeah.
That's east to west, right?
Yeah.
No one's ever done it north to south. Don't you find that a little suspicious?
Yeah, sure. I never thought about that.
Because you can't. Okay. So the best idea of the North Pole we have is that it's got like a magnetic mountain. Okay. And that's what draws your compass north. It's real simple. It's just a fucking magnetic mountain. It's called Meru, and a lot of ancient civilizations talk about it. Now, maybe in the Bermuda Triangle, maybe there's another like little small rock there,
Yeah.
just landed there or something. Maybe a meteor hit the North Pole and it was a magnetic, contained a lot of magnetic material.
Yeah.
It could be, but they sure as hell don't let people in there. So,
No, we're really finding out.
yeah, they have the Antarctic Treaty. Admiral Byrd did a lot of exploring in the North Pole. Then he went to the South Pole for 30 years. And he had, like, one operation was called High Jump. He had like 1,500 men. The next operation was called Deep Freeze. Think about that, Deep Freeze. What was he doing? Going really far into the ice, right?
Yeah.
So that operation quit kind of abruptly. And 2 weeks later, everyone left Antarctica. All of a sudden. Okay. Right after that, they start firing nukes up into the sky called Operation Fishbowl. Think about that, fishbowl. Okay. It sounds like a glass dome type thing. And why are they firing nukes in the sky for 2 or 4 years straight? Trying to fucking blow it up or what? And, it's just real suspicious. And they never went back to Antarctica again on record. So it just has and they made the Antarctic Treaty around that time too. It's like all the nations agree no one can claim Antarctica. It doesn't say no one can go there, but there's like battleships cruising around. I know this like for not first-hand, but second-hand experience.
Okay.
That they'll board your ship, even a little bitty sailboat, if you're swimming around in the South Oceans too close to Antarctica. Ain't that fucked up?
They keep it pretty secure.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's pretty easy, dude. Makes total sense.
Yeah, you just gotta do that research on everything that you can. That's really what I do.
Yeah.
I'm curious, so I just make a lot of research on certain things. And just look at it as many angles as I possibly can, so I can get a broad look over it.
Yeah, and then you'll always find that one thing. You're like, holy crap.
Well, you'll find that pattern, and that's where you really get the truth out of the pattern of everything.
Tell you some other things I like about the flat Earth. Like the stars never move. They never have moved. They don't they say the stars are all moving all these crazy speeds and we're moving crazy speeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
How come the stars, you can measure them, like even from like the Great Pyramids, line up with certain stars, like perfectly. Like they've never changed their positions. It's just impossible. But they say, oh, well, they're trillions and trillions of light years away. Like, whatever in the fucking nut. Looks to me like it's right up there, like that airplane's gonna hit the moon,
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it. They want you to not trust your eyes, man. That's the problem with this whole thing. Don't trust your eyes, believe us.
And I think I think you just really gotta use your brain foremost, because sometimes I guess your eyes do play tricks on you. Because let's say you're fishing and you're trying to, I guess, nail a fish with a spear, like old school style.
Yeah.
And if you throw that spear right where you see the fish, you're gonna miss.
Oh, always. Yeah.
And that's because the way the light hits the water, it bends. So you gotta actually you gotta aim the spear a little bit below the fish from the way that you see it, and you'll nail the fish. But I think it's one of those things where sometimes your eyes can play tricks on you, so you gotta just, I guess, have an open mind about things and learn as much as you can.
Yeah. You gotta have a real open mind for that globe model, man.
Yeah.
But
But just anything, pretty much, just kind of get like as
well,
much as information as you can. Anything
yeah.
you do in life, like whether it's either
Oh,
going
for
for a
sure.
job or buying a car or buying a house, whatever it is that you're doing, you just got to get as much information about it as you can. It's better to be, because they say ignorance is bliss.
Not really, but yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what they say.
But yeah, man, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and hit the sack, man, because I ain't gonna be
Excellent.
able to
I
wake
was
up
saying
tomorrow.
the same thing, bro. Hey, nice talking with you. Join us anytime, man.
Sure, man. Thanks.
Yeah, have fun on your journey.
Yeah. And how do I get out of this? You just kick me out, or what do I do?
Now there's a red little icon of a phone. It says "Leave call" at the top. Move your mouse around or
Oh,
something.
okay. I see the little red phone. Just
Mm-hmm.
click on it.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. I guess see you later, or talk to you later.
All right.
Peace.
And everybody in chat. Till next time. Keep it flat, like a 5-year-old tits. Just kidding. I'm nasty. Bye. See you later.